This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Good afternoon, gang. Welcome to another edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. And today we have taken the show on the road. The squad has been enjoying a wonderful morning down at the beautiful Forks. We are here at Travel Manitoba's Visitor Information Center. Had a great chance to meet some other listeners and some folks from outside the city popping in to see what the Forks and Winnipeg and Manitoba is all about. Michael Grajewski from Travel Manitoba is going to join us later on in the program with some great things to do out and about around the province in the month of August. But we've got lots to get to. The return of Murat. Looking forward to having Murat on the program. He'll join us in hour 2. We'll also get ready for the week in the Canadian Football League. Bombers, Ottawa, tomorrow, 7:30, Princess Auto Stadium. And tonight we've got BC and the Calgary Stampeders. John Hodge from 3 Down Nation is going to join us live here at Travel Manitoba. Looking forward to having John in the program. And also joining us live is Mike Raimbault, the head coach of the Winnipeg Sea Bears. What a disaster last night in Brampton. I don't think there's any way you can sugarcoat it, folks. If you missed it, the Honey Badgers and Sea Bears kicked off game 1 of the best-of-3 CEBL final. It was 6-6, 4 minutes into the game, and the refs ended up having to cancel the game due to unsafe player conditions, as players looked like they were on skates with a real condensation problem at the CAA Center in Brampton. And now the championship series has been changed from a series to one game. Winner takes all. Canada Life Center, Saturday afternoon, 2:30. And the Sea Bears announced this morning that the entire lower bowl is gone. Get your tickets now. Let's fill that sucker up well into the upper bowl right now for what should be a full house. And a very different look for the CEBL on Saturday here in Winnipeg than we saw last night. We're going to get to all of this coming up throughout the next couple hours. First, though, want to thank all of our sponsors. And, of course, want to congratulate Rotate Rob, who was the winner of last night's Coolbet Open final. Roberto is going to Estonia to represent Canada at the Coolbet Open. I played the role of the final boss, making it to the end. So Rob was basically guaranteed of getting the trip once the two of us were heads up. Went back and forth a little bit. He is the champion, and we'll look forward to some content with him coming up in Estonia in the first week of September for the Coolbet Open. Don't forget to get your picks in before tonight for the CFL Weekly Pick'em. You know where to do that at coolbet.com. Also want to thank Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Boston Pizza, Manitoba Battery, Aikens Lake, Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, Travel Manitoba, the Santa Lucia on Main Street, which is just reopened after 2 years coming back from a fire, 1473 Main, that is. Gold Eyes, another big win for the Fish last night. They're a half game out of first place. Assiniboia Downs, Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center. And we will get to a why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Looky here. The gang is all here. Michael Remis, Connor Rabchak. Fellas, what's going on?
Feeling good. Great to be at the Forks. Being outside. We got the dinosaur behind us here dancing around.
Love the dinosaur.
Lots to get to. Some controversy last night. Dialed in, sat with my family in front of the TV, ready for game 1 of the CEBL Finals, and just like that, it was over.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into that. I'm doing well today. I got my Jays hat on. We're close to using the B word when it comes to the Blue Jays, ladies and gentlemen. 1.5 games back. Yeah, maybe. 1.5 games out of a wild card spot. So, the CEBL cancellation last night turned my attention to the Blue Jays, which was nice, but that's got to be the main story because this is just so Bush League.
Yeah,
CEBL thing.
listen, sitting here in Winnipeg, it's tough to because I feel so bad for everyone involved with the Sea Bears organization because from day one with the Winnipeg Sea Bears, they have been first class. They have run their operation like a true professional sports franchise.
Yeah.
They put on a first class product at the arena. They put a lot of resources in trying to have a winning team. They've done a great job at cultivating a fan base here in Winnipeg. They have ticked off all the boxes. And last night, they were victims of pretty much a Mickey Mouse operation out in Easton and Brampton. And, for a championship series to be played, and again, I tweeted this out yesterday. It's one thing to have, we had to cancel a game. This wasn't just a game. This was the first ever game of the first ever best of 3 championship series for the CEBL. It had always been a one game. It had been part of a season-ending tournament. They'd graduated to, having home court means something in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it all, and we've talked a lot about broadcasting and how important it is to, expose your product. This game was televised live coast to coast on TSN and on CBC. And 15 minutes into the game, they're doing like the top 50 trick shots or whatever on TSN because the game had been shut down.
Yeah, you don't see that too often where CBC had a pregame show. We had Rod Black on yesterday, so I tuned into TSN and watched his pregame show. And I don't know if you saw Rod. He was bringing it last night with the puns. I can't go over all of them. I know he dropped to the moon and back for Xavier. He was on it last night. And yeah, they say, okay, we got a 20-minute delay. And then they're dropping best contest winners. Here's the Wendy's kick to win field goal or the guy throwing all the pucks in the net. Like, yeah, I remember these. And I don't know, I got into a heated Connect 4 game with my son instead of sitting down and watching the Sea Bears. But it just reminded me of, when we would do the Jets Fan Fest at the rink and it's completely wet. It's slippery. And in Brampton, it's Brampton Hockey Day coming up. They put the ice in this week and then thought it was a good idea to have a CEBL final basketball game in the same arena. This isn't the Canada Life Center there. It's a CAA center. I don't think they're set up to have basketball court on top of ice. And this has happened before. Bulls game was postponed in January of this year due to condensation on the court. So it's not completely unheard of. But this was a huge moment for the league, as you said. First 3-game series. Game 1, they had the host city before. It's on televised. CBC's had 2 Sea Bears games now bumped the last couple of weeks because of travel and now because of this. So it's tough.
I forgot about that.
Tough for a young league looking for some momentum here.
Yeah, that's a great point. It was about 10 days ago or so, the Sea Bears went out. It was supposed to be the biggest game of the year. Sea Bears, Vancouver, playing for home court in the Western Conference.
Yep.
In the playoffs. And they had to move the game back a few hours because of the travel problems. And that game didn't get to CBC. We were watching TSN. So again, we saw the trick shots. I'm sure they had a couple episodes of Coronation Street locked and loaded to throw on when
big time
the CEBL was supposed to be in there. But nevertheless, the game didn't get played. And, I had suggested on X right afterwards that, this isn't happening in Brampton. They're going to bring this thing back to Winnipeg and presumably go games 1 and 2 on Saturday, Sunday. And if they have to do a third game, probably on Tuesday. Well, they've decided to do a one-game winner takes all. And Connor, I'm sure they would have preferred to do the 3. Certainly, the more games in Winnipeg, the better for everyone involved because they'll be well attended. People will make money. The problem is, though, and we saw this before the playoffs even started, with the way the calendar works in the international basketball schedule, the CEBL is right up to the deadline for these players to need to get to their next teams. It certainly hurt with Acott and Tillman taking off prematurely from the Winnipeg Sea Bears. But can you imagine a scenario where they said, okay, game 3 is going to be on Tuesday, and Xavier Moon, if you guys saw, sorry, I can't get out of my flight
Contract
on Monday morning,
yeah.
and I'm gone. So this is how they had to settle on determining a champion.
Yeah. Look, the last couple of years, the final has been a one-game showdown. So they're just going back to what it was. But this year was supposed to be different. They're going away from the championship weekend. They're giving these teams a home court advantage in the finals. And it's a best of 3. Like, it was marketed as this new look, thing for the CEBL. And now they're just going back to what it was. And look, this one game on Saturday, I'll be there. I'm fired up. It's going to be an awesome crowd. They're already into the upper deck, as we know. But like, I'd love to have had 2 games if it did go to a game 3 here in Winnipeg. And shout out to Josh Frey-Sam with the Winnipeg Free Press. I was reading a number of articles and none of them really said like what happened with the court, like why it was wet and too wet to play. He wrote in the Free Press that sources told the Free Press that the Honey Badgers practiced at the Mississauga Sports and Entertainment Center, while the CAA Center, the court for the game, against the wishes of the basketball team, installed ice in preparation for the Brampton Steelheads training camp and built the hard court on top. So, I mean, you just can't. We just talked about it at FanFest for the Winnipeg Jets at the Iceplex. They put these little pads over the ice, and it completely comes through. I mean, if you're installing ice, this is going to happen. Josh even said the arena attempted to prevent the ice from affecting the court by lowering the temperature of the building drastically, but that failed miserably. And I just went back before we started the show here and watched the first 4 minutes. Players aren't necessarily slipping and sliding all over the place. I mean, Xavier Moon did have a moment where he went to, kind of guard a screen and just slid. Yeah, just completely slid towards mid-court. But you can tell when basketball players aren't cutting at their full potential, like their legs aren't bent as much. They're a little more hesitant. And there was a lot of that, and Mike Raimbault even talked about it beforehand, that these 2 teams talked about the conditions and said, like, hey, are we going to play? Are we going to give this a shot? They did, and then ultimately they determined that it was poor. So I'm excited to hear from Mike Raimbault today and what really happened with this situation, but it's just not a good look all around.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're going to have to move past this. I mean, there was no way we weren't going to start the show talking about the mess that happened last night. And listen, as ugly as this is for the CEBL, a league that has been, I think has been challenging for credibility, and it's different for us here in Winnipeg because, as I mentioned, the Sea Bears have been first class all along, but it's not the way it is here in most of the other markets in and around Canada. And as embarrassing as that was for the CEBL last night, I do think, Remis, that we're going to see the yin to the yang Saturday afternoon, because what we do know and we can count on is they will play a game on Saturday afternoon, and that game will be in front of one of the biggest crowds in CEBL history when Winnipeg shows up now well into the upper bowl to get behind the Sea Bears to see if they can win a first championship.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I mean, the players, they've got other teams. They need to end this soon. And if you can't do a 3-game series, well, just do what you did last year. Go to a 1-game. I think this decision makes the most sense for the league. And now you can sell it to the fans and say, hey, this is the 1-game championship. It will be handed out no matter what. I saw last night 80% full lower bowl. Today, getting the notification that, okay, they're selling upper bowl tickets. And that's awesome. I remember the first ever Sea Bears playoff game where they opened the upper bowl, and it was a fantastic crowd. But now it's for a championship. You have everyone playing very well, winning the last couple of games, including hometown Simon Hildebrandt, who we had on the show earlier this week. So I think a lot of excitement, and certainly a benefit to the Sea Bears and I'm really going to be a nice showcase. I haven't seen the TV. I'm assuming it's going to be on TSN and CBC again.
Yeah.
But I'm sure
CBC might just say, nah, you know what, guys, we're good.
And shout out to Russ Lowen and Chad Huss. I was wrong. It wasn't Coronation Street. It was Murdoch Mysteries. They went to yesterday instead of the basketball. So sorry for the mix-up, but hopefully they do show Seabirds. They don't get bumped off CBC again.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with Murdoch Mysteries. I'll be honest, I've never watched Coronation Street, but I always know when it's on. If you've been flicking around a remote control on Canadian television long enough, you know the unmistakable look of the Coronation Street sketch when things are getting going. But anyways, no game last night. Mike Raimbault, head coach of the Sea Bears, will join us live here, 2:00 on the program. John Hodge is going to join us before that. Speaking of John, we're going to be diving into all things CFL and, of course, tomorrow's Bomber-Ottawa game. Connor, we have some clarity on the Bomber roster and some good news when it comes to some very important players that look like they're going to be good to go for 7:30 tomorrow at Princess Auto Stadium.
Yeah, so on the Bombers' final injury report yesterday, it was both Drew Brown and Zach Collaros were still listed as questionable despite practicing in full, but they're both good to go. So Zach Collaros is going to get the start. Drew Brown is healthy and the backup. Jarrell Broxton, we know he missed the one game prior to the bye week. He's back as well. And a bit of an interesting one, Brady Oliveira, game time decision. He missed yesterday's practice with an ankle injury, but what Derek Taylor of CJOB said online is that through the walkthrough today, it's been a lot of Brady Oliveira for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So this is their final walkthrough or final, team meeting before the game, and Brady Oliveira is operating as the RB1. I think he's going to be playing, but still a game time decision. So if he wakes up tomorrow and the ankle doesn't feel right, he won't go. But interesting to see that he's a game time call. I think we've seen this in the past with the Bombers where players are game time decisions, and it always kind of leans more towards that they're going to play when they are a game time call. So we'll have to wait and see. But the Bombers also get Cam Lawson back on the defensive line. So that's really all the changes, but they're getting some reinforcements back. Still no Reddick Cramdy, who is a big loss in that secondary, or really just all the positions he can play on defense, and the defense got ran all over before the bye. But offensively, you get your starting right tackle back, you get your starting quarterback back, and hopefully you'll still have your star running back as well against a defense in the Ottawa Redblacks that has, been taken advantage of multiple times this year, and is last in points against per game in the CFL.
We'll get John's thoughts on this in just a minute. The one thing that, you're focused on the quarterback. They need Zach back. The quarterback play has not been, up to, the level that other teams are getting right now, and they need QB1 back. Remo, the return of Broxton on the offensive line, I think, is huge. We know that Stanley Bryant's a little older right now, and it maybe hasn't been his normal level of dominance this year. Without Broxton, they were really up against it, and we'll have guys going back to their normal positions and have the top free agent on the board from the summer playing for Winnipeg on that right side.
Yeah, you mentioned they brought him in, in free agency to be a guy who can help out on the O-line. You need to give these guys protection once they don't get hurt, because we've seen that from Zach, but also have time to throw. Let the receivers get open, and I do agree that's probably a huge blow. A huge benefit to them to get Broxton back, and hopefully they can protect Zach, allow him make some throws. You see guys like Tim White get open, Nick Dembski make some plays. Ontario Wilson, had a nice connection there with Drew Brown, but let's see more of these guys get involved. And Ottawa, again, 0 wins this year. They need everyone healthy. I'm sure it's going to be pretty close to sold out crowd. If not, I haven't seen the numbers yet, but it should be a great night in Winnipeg. And the Bombers haven't had a lot of success at home this year. Has to mean they can reverse that trend. Well, tomorrow night.
Yes, indeed. 7:30 start tomorrow at Princess Auto Stadium. We'll get to Bombers Red Blacks with John Hodge in about 5 minutes from now. The fact that the Sea Bears did get canceled last night did allow me to watch the Toronto Blue Jays, Connor. And you mentioned, can we say the B word? 1.5 games back, make it 3 straight against the Boston Red Sox. They're going for a sweep this afternoon. They're finding ways to win games continually without the help of Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
But the pitching's coming up big, some timely hitting, and a lot of guys, be it Straw, Lucas, McAdoo, a bunch of newcomers coming in as well. Baxter, this is it's starting to get fun right now, and dare I say, we're all getting sucked right back in.
Yeah, I certainly am. And how about Brett Bateman? Part of the return of the Kevin Gausman trade. He didn't play it, or he's not playing today, getting the day off. But he's a player that has stepped in the outfield and been awesome for the Blue Jays in this stretch. And I believe they've won 9 of their last 12. Now they are just a game and a half out of the wild card. And the Red Sox are one of the best teams in baseball over the last couple of months. They've been red hot, and now they come to Toronto, and the Jays play in about 30 minutes, wrapping up a 4-game series against the Red Sox. They're going for a sweep. This team is starting to click. You mentioned Vlad Guerrero Jr. We talked about it on Monday's show. If he was clicking, this Jays team would already be in a playoff spot. But if they can get Vlad going, which is a big if, we're in the middle of August. This isn't like a 1 or 2 week. It's time. This is a big if at this point. But if he maybe doesn't get going back to the levels that he was before, but just starts hitting a couple homers, maybe hit a homer or 2 at home over the course of the year, that would be nice. The Jays, the rest of their lineup is really clicking into plays. You have Okamoto, Lucas, even Miles Straw has come up with some massive RBIs the last couple of games.
Straw's been awesome.
And then the pitching, Trey Savage has been hurt, but when the Jays have a lead and they go to their bullpen, they're going Tyler Rogers, Brendan Little's had a couple of good outings, and then Louis Varland's shutting it down. You have no chance.
Who was that guy throwing the knucklers last night?
Oh, Matt Waldron? Yeah, I don't think we'll see him in a Jays uniform again. But hey, the Jays, credit to them. They've made it interesting here. And after this stretch against the Yankees and Rays, they go a full month, basically the last month of the season, not playing a single team that is currently over 500.
Very mid teams.
Yes. So if they can get through this Red Sox, which they're doing, Yankees, Rays, which the Rays have been their kryptonite this year. But hey, if you can get into September a game or 2 out of a wildcard spot, they have a very real chance to make it.
Well, we'll keep an eye on this game this afternoon. It's first pitch about 35 minutes or so away in TO. But of course, our focus tomorrow night is on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Tonight, it'll be back on the Goldeyes. Goldeyes, 2 wins in a row, and Landon Barrasa's back.
Yes.
Fish get another win. They are a half game back of Kansas City for first place. First pitch tonight for the Goldeyes is 6:30 p.m. Got a beautiful day out here at the Forks. And I can tell you could pick a lot worse other things than a few hundred meters from us down the way, right by the Human Rights Museum, getting a ticket for Goldeyes baseball tonight as they look to sweep the Sioux Falls Canaries. Tonight, it's about the Goldeyes. Tomorrow, it's about the Bombers. Saturday, it's about the Sea Bears. But next, it's all about this week in the Canadian Football League. And can the Bombers straighten this out and get back in it? In the CFL West, John Hodge of 3 Down Nation coming up in just a moment right here live from the Forks on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Hockey season's just around the corner, and that means we'll be getting back to the Winnipeg Jet lines for Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Clean Line is your residential and commercial plumbing experts in Winnipeg, along with heating and electrical services, and have been Winnipeg's most trusted plumbers for over 40 years with fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. Just like Adam Lowry has the backs of his teammates, Clean Line has yours. Mark the number down, 204-500-2001 for 24/7 emergency service when you need it most. You can also check out more on all Clean Line services and make an appointment online at cleanline.ca. Big congratulations to Roberto and our friends out at the San Lucia on Main Street who battled back from the last 2 years working to overcome a fire and just had a wonderful grand opening on the weekend. Popped out and saw a lot of happy people in the West K area to have their Santa Lucia back. If you have not been there, certainly suggest you try it out. They've got amazing happy hour specials, promos throughout the week, and
obviously all your favorites from Santa Lucia. So all of you out in West K or that go up and down Main Street, 1473 Main, Santa Lucia is back open. It was a great grand opening on the weekend, but now it is business as usual. Pop by and see them today at Santa Lucia on Main Street. And congratulations to Roberto and the staff on getting back open for the people of Winnipeg. Hey, got to thank our friends at Manitoba Battery. Big Bomber game coming up on Friday night. And, of course, Manitoba Battery. Hopefully we can get a couple new batteries in that Bomber offense and defense after last week's game. Of course, Manitoba Battery, proud sponsor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, powering the Bombers this season. And, of course, Winnipeg Sports Talk. Manitoba Battery is your local option where you'll find the best in batteries for literally everything at the lowest prices in town, period, along with the best in customer service. So pop by and see them on Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive out in the south end of the city. And if you can't make it down, you can give them a call or order online at manitobabattery.com, and they can deliver those batteries to you anywhere inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. For all your battery needs, save time, save money, shop local at Manitoba Battery with 2 locations to serve you. And folks, if you have a move coming up the rest of the summer, fall, or even into winter, you're going to need to check in with our friends over at Rolly's Transfer. Family owned and operated for over 60 years and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. If you check out their website at rollys.com, up at the top corner, you can click on Request an Estimate. If you've got a move coming up, hit that. And then make sure to put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. Then simply let them know when and where you're planning on moving, what needs to be moved, and the friendly staff at Rolly's will turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they've been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today online at rollys.com.
All right, welcome back to the Forks and the Travel Manitoba Visitors Information Center, where we're set up for Winnipeg Sports Talk today. And it is an absolute pleasure to welcome in live in the flesh, John Hodge from 3 Down Nation. What's up?
I'm doing great, Huss. Thanks so much for having me.
You know, I know we were just chatting about the Sea Bears game last night. What a mess, eh, for the CEBL. I mean, you know, we give the CFL a hard time sometimes for how they operate things, but that was nuts. And you know, I know you were fired up for the game, but you were actually quite fired up for a Sunday game.
Yeah, I went and got out, just as a fan, I went out and got courtside seats for the Sunday game, thinking, well, worst case, I get my refund, but best case, I get to go and watch the championship be won, whether it's Brampton, whether it's Winnipeg. And I guess on the plus side, I'm getting my refund, but this isn't the way I wanted to get it. I wanted to go to the game, or at the very least, I do have tickets for Saturday up in the 200s, but anyways, I was hoping for a Sunday final.
I do think, you know, as embarrassing a day it was for the CEBL yesterday, I kind of think Winnipeg's going to bail them out, because that scene on Saturday afternoon, now selling well into the upper bowl, will be one of the biggest. And I think I have to say, because of the stakes of the game, might be the most energetic, locked-in crowd the CEBL has ever seen. And, you know, you don't like the way that we got to that point.
No.
But I think it's going to be a show. And as bad as this championship series started, the championship game, I think, is going to be a real sight. And it should be a great day for the league.
Well, and I think you said it well, Huss. I was listening just off camera before I was terrified by this moving, living dinosaur behind us that I didn't notice until I just about lost it. But look, this Winnipeg Sea Bears are a first-rate organization, but there's a lot of work to be done league-wide in the CEBL, needless to say. For instance, having a court that works, that should be a kind of a no-brainer prerequisite for a championship game, or even a preseason game for that matter. That bar was not met last night, unfortunately. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'll borrow a line from Willie Jefferson. If you want it done right, come on down to Winnipeg. Like, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have the biggest crowds in the Canadian Football League. They've got the biggest and best crowds in the CEBL. The Gold Eyes are selling great. I've got my tickets now for Sunday when the Sea Bears got got canceled. They wouldn't buck Gold Ice tickets.
Smart move.
They're like, right.
That's the pivot.
And look, the crowds with the Jets are a bit of a different story, but summertime right now, there's no better place to be a sports fan in Canada than Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. The numbers show it. They do.
Well, they do, and we're going to see another great crowd tomorrow night at Princess Auto Stadium. The question I have for you is, will the home team finally step up and reward the best fans in the CFL with a performance that reckons of their dominance at home over the last little while? Anything more puzzling than what this team has done or not done at home so far this year?
I ran the numbers, Hus. From 2019 to 2025, including playoffs, this team was 48-8 at home. That means 8 losses in 8 calendar years. They've lost 4 games at home since the spring. Like, that is mind-boggling, especially when the most recent loss came with a rookie quarterback making his first career start for the opposition. Then 1-win BC Lions football team. So, to me, this is a must-win for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And the Ottawa Red Blacks released their depth chart this morning. They're starting Shadwell Nkuba II and Marcus Barnes into the boundary side of their secondary. And I don't want to disrespect Mr. Nkuba or Mr. Barnes. They're both professional athletes. But combined, they have 1 career start. They are going to be guarding against Ontario Wilson and Tim White tomorrow. This team is starting a rookie right tackle out of Old Dominion. I believe his first name is Matthew. His last name is Barlev. I don't know who he went up against last year in the Sun Belt. He was named first team all Sun Belt, but he was not going up against Willie Jefferson. Like, this winless Red Blacks team is seemingly in 2027 territory. Looking at this depth chart, they have so much youth playing, such an experience. They've got 7 different starters than just last week. Like, this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team has to come out firing tomorrow. They have to win this game, and they need to reward their hometown fans. 1-4 at home is not good enough.
No, and I'll be honest, I heard you mentioning, rookie here, new guy here. Kind of reminds me of 2 weeks ago when BC came in with Caden Salter and Xander Horvath. And I mean, the stench of that game, to be honest, is still sort of hanging around this city and will be until tomorrow night.
If there's ever a time you don't want a bye week, it's right after you get humiliated at home by a rookie quarterback. And look, I don't want to disrespect the BC Lions. Credit to them for winning the game. But, I mean, I was at practice on Sunday, and Mike O'Shea was asked, is it fair to call that loss inexcusable? And he said, yeah, that's a good word for it. And that's about as strong of an indictment of his own team as you'll ever hear from Mike O'Shea. It's certainly as strong as I've heard from him in over a decade now of him being in Winnipeg. So this team has to respond. And let's look ahead a little bit here. So they've got Ottawa this week. They get to the midway point of their season. Let's say they're 5-4. Let's give them the win just for right now, for hypothetical sake. Their last 9 games, this team has the Edmonton Elks twice, the Saskatchewan Roughriders twice, and the Montreal Alouettes twice. They do not get any more Ottawa Red Blacks. They do not get any more Bo Levi Mitchell-less Hamilton Tiger Cats. Like, the schedule is backloaded. So in a tough West Division where the BC Lions are surging, the Calgary Stampeders, rough game last week, but have looked great at times this past month. And then, of course, Edmonton and Saskatchewan already having a multi-win lead over Winnipeg right now. You cannot let this game slide. If this team loses at home, I don't see a reason to really buy into them whatsoever the second half of the season.
We often joke around, is this a must win or is it a can't lose? It's both.
It's both.
It is definitely both in this scenario.
I might even go as far as to say it's a must win by more than a score, right? If you eke this, if you play down to the Ottawa Red Blacks and you eke it out on a last minute, walk-off Sergio Castillo field goal. Look, a win is a win. They don't ask how, they ask how many. I get all that. But if this is supposedly a legitimate Grey Cup contender, right, which I believe the Blue Bombers consider themselves to be, right? They had a veteran-laden squad last year. They went out and they spent a ton of money on veterans in free agency. Guys like Jake Serezna, Jonathan Moxey, Jarrell Broxton, like you go down the list, Tim White. A lot of these guys already, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year veterans in this league. They're not developmental players. These are guys at the peak of their careers brought in to help reload a team that, we had a down year, but it's pretty good when a 10-win year is a down year. Fair enough. But this team is 4-4. The schedule is only getting tougher. They have to win this game tomorrow. And I think they have to make a statement, right? The Montreal Alouettes made a heck of a statement this past week when they lit up the Edmonton Elks. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have to make a statement tomorrow night at Princess Auto Stadium.
Yeah, unfortunately, they've made a few statements, and the statements have been loud and clear that maybe this team isn't ready for prime time,
Fair point.
To be, listen, they need to do a full 180.
Yes.
Coming out of these recent games, I mean, the 50 burger from Calgary, the fourth quarter, the 377 yards rushing. What do you make of where things are at defensively right now? And I mean, you can always look at injuries. I think Reddick Cramdy is a guy that is really tough to replace with how well he does, but it's so much more than that. You don't lose one guy from the secondary and give up almost 400 yards on the ground. What's been missing with Jordan Younger's group this season?
Well, I think the big difference for this unit is last season they lived and died by rushing three, right? The playbook was you stuff them on first down and then you drop 9 on second down. And there was a lot of positives that came along with that. The Bombers were number 1 in opponent quarterback efficiency rating last year. They were number 1 in opponent completion percentage last year, and they led the league in knockdowns. But on the flip side, when you're rushing 3, right, the opposing passer is going to have a lot of time to throw, and this team finished last in sacks. Well, what do? They go out and they get Jake Ceresna, really pump up that pass rush. Willie Jefferson's having a great renaissance season. I think in part just credit to Willie being better, but also they're rushing 4 a lot this year, and they're sending more heat. And what that does is a couple things. One is it ups the amount of pressure, the number of mistakes you're going to get from opposing quarterbacks, and the sacks are way higher. I think the Bombers are already at or almost at where they had sacks last year. I think it was 18 last year. They're at like 15 or 16 right now. But what it does on the back end is it increases the size of the windows that quarterbacks have to operate. And right now, there have been times this season where quarterbacks have been able to sit back there in the pocket and pick the secondary apart. And the guys like Evan Holm, Dietrich Nichols, who are some of the highest paid players in the league at their position, Reddick Cramdy will throw in there as well, though he's out, haven't been as effective. We haven't seen as many contested passes. We haven't seen as many windows getting closed. And that is an issue, right? You are forcing quarterbacks to make quicker decisions, but they're getting to make easier decisions. And I almost wonder if maybe as much as the defense was going to transition away from a lot of those 3-man fronts, I almost wonder if they've overcorrected a little bit.
The inability to stop the run's been really puzzling.
Very.
And I'll say this. I mean, they've been getting to the quarterback better. We had Ed Tate on before the BC game, and I'd sort of laid it out. I mean, I think what this team is going to do is try and force Salter to beat them with their arm. And if there's one thing that they're going to be doing that they have to do, it's keep their eye on the contain.
Yeah.
And they didn't contain him at all that night. Like, listen, I've been watching football for a long time, John. That was maybe the most shocking thing. Like, they didn't adjust and they weren't able to come to fourth quarter. They knew exactly what the situation was. And as the stakes got higher and you kind of knew what they were looking to do, they had more success.
Yeah, there was a play right at the start of that second half where the BC Lions just ran a very basic read option, like the type of play that you learn how to defend in high school. And every single Blue Bombers defender went with the running back. Caden Salter pulled the ball and ripped up the sidelines for 40 yards. And that was kind of the first time it was like, whoa, this defense might be in trouble. Like, I don't know how you have that type of breakdown. And every time I've talked to a ton of these Blue Bombers defenders post-game this year, a little bit in practice as well, about these issues. And it always comes down to details and communication. Oh, we got to communicate better. Oh, we have to be more on our details. Oh, we have to do a better job of communicating. And it's like, okay, on the one hand, I get that. But on the other hand, how is it that you can't defend a read option against a rookie dual threat quarterback? You know that play is going to be called at some point. There's no way Caden Salter's working in his first start with a 120 play playbook. It's going to be pared down, and you're not ready. Like, how are you not ready? This is a championship football, supposedly a championship football team. How are you not prepared for that? And it cost them 40 yards. And then, of course, things went off the rails from there. Jordan Younger admitted it this week. He said his defense lost its composure. Championship teams do not lose their composure against rookie quarterbacks, period. So this unit has to be way better over the next 10 games if this team has any hope of getting back to a Grey Cup.
Offensively, what do you think the Bombers will look to do tomorrow? You get Zach Collaros back, Brady Oliveira is apparently a game time decision. I'd imagine he'll have to be missing a foot if he's not going to be playing. He'll be out there. You get Broxton back. Listen, I know Mike O'Shea would tell you, well, our goal is to score more points than the other team. But I mean, to me, this has to be a true get-right game. I mean, get this offense going. Welcome back, Zach, and try and get a little bit of momentum going into an absolute meat grinder for the next month, including a trip a week tomorrow to Commonwealth to play the Elks, who've been one of the great stories of the season.
Yeah, like this is the certainly least experienced defense the Blue Bombers are going to play from here on out through the rest of the year, whether they make the playoffs or not, or how far they go into the playoffs. I think you could probably argue it's also the least talented defense. It's certainly the only defense that's had a coordinator fired in the last couple of weeks, which of course happened just recently in Ottawa with Jeff Raimbault replacing him. Which, by the way, if there's one person who knows about struggling Winnipeg Blue Bombers offenses and defenses, it's Jeff Raimbault. And if you're under 30, sorry you don't get that reference. But look,
consider
Winnipeg's
yourselves lucky.
My niece and nephew, as an aside, they're 10 years old, and I sometimes try to explain to them that the Bombers weren't good once, and they don't really understand it. They're like, no, they go to the Grey Cup every year. I don't know what you're talking about, Uncle John. But anyways, this offense has to be way better, and I think Zach Collaros is going to be way better. I mean, they haven't been good enough at the quarterback spot. Drew Brown, I thought, was really impressive his first start against the Toronto Argonauts, and then he trended in the wrong direction. You'd think somebody coming to a new team, and yeah, Drew Brown's been here previously. He's worked with Tommy Condell before, but you'd think he would trend stronger. That was not the case. He trended weaker. And so I think Zach is going to have a good game. I think they need to air it out and show that they can do that. We know they can run the ball. They ran the ball really well last week. It wasn't enough. They need to do more through the air. And I ran the numbers, Huss. I knew the Bombers had a conservative passing game against the BC Lions. I went back and went through every single play. They did not attempt a single pass that traveled more than 20 yards downfield in the game. And this is the Canadian Football League. So if you have $200,000 receivers in Tim White, in Nick Dembski, and you've got a quarterback who Mike O'Shea still insists is the best in the Canadian Football League in Zach Collaros, you need to be able to push the ball down the field against this Ottawa defense.
Just on that note, I mean, we can't kind of talk about that circumstance without mentioning what was happening going into the game. And Tommy Condell was getting killed for not getting Brady Oliveira the ball enough. We heard what Brady said. What is our identity? I'll be honest, it seemed like there was a stubbornness to that offensive game plan where, oh, you want to get Brady the ball? Yeah, no problem. They did it over and over again. They established the run, did no play action whatsoever, and didn't take advantage of all the things that happens when a run game is cooking. And that to me was inexcusable.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me. And look, the BC Lions are the number one defense in the league against the run. Right? That's what they do best. They do not defend the pass the best. So if you have established the run against the number one run defense in the Canadian Football League, that provides ample opportunity, as I think you perfectly laid out, to use that play action to attack the field deep. And this team thinks the world of Ontario Pokey Wilson, of Nick Dembski, of Tim White. How are you not trusting any of them to win a 50-50 ball at some point? Like, you have to stretch defenses vertically. You don't have to do it every play. You don't have to do it every drive. But at some point in the game, you have to do something to get that defense off the line of scrimmage, to give those cushions that you're relying on for your short passing game. And the Bombers have at times been very productive with the intermediate passing game this year, but they have to do a better job of taking shots. And look, one of two things is true. Either you are intentionally not throwing the ball deep because secretly you don't think you have the personnel to do it, or the other is you let your personnel down by not letting them try to do it, right? So I think that the latter is true. I think they do have the personnel to attack deep. I just want the coaches to trust the personnel in order to do it.
I don't think there was much trust in the quarterback, I'll tell you that much. And I think that they sort of felt like BC wasn't going to do anything offensively, and all they needed was, you know, a few field goals and just hang around, which gets us to, you know, those calls early on. I mean, I still think, the one from the 2 or whatever, like, oh, so you go for it, you don't make it. You got a rookie quarterback on his 1 yard line. Like, you can't handle that.
Yeah.
I thought that really sucked a lot of momentum out. And I think, frankly, I think the offense themselves felt like these guys don't have confidence us to get doing it. I think it was that decision early on in the game, I think, manifested itself in some unfortunate ways as things went on. I will say this about the Blue Bombers. We've been saying the opposite things, and we've been trying to find positives, like last year, for instance. Oh, this team's still pretty good. They're probably better than their record. They're certainly not better than their record.
No.
I think they're incredibly fortunate to have their record, but you know what they say, you are what your record is.
Yep.
And yet, despite as ugly as some of these games have looked, John, they are 4-4. There is a good chance that they will be, if they get a win, they'll be third place in the division moving into next week. And the fact of the matter is they're fortunate to do it, but the season is far from lost. I mean, you can feel bad, and many people are saying the Bombers are the 5th best team in the West. They have the opportunity to change the narrative tomorrow and over the course of the next month.
They do. And I mean, this team still fully controls its own destiny. Yes, they're 2 wins behind Edmonton. They're 2 wins behind Saskatchewan, but they have 2 games against all those teams. So if this team is still an elite team, if this team is still a Grey Cup contender, they control their own destiny. If they win out against those divisional opponents, they can finish first in the West Division without getting any help. So the opportunity is there. Do I think they're going to finish first? No, I'm highly skeptical that they'll host a playoff game, but if they are still at that level, if they are still in their bag, if the dynasty is still going, whatever you want to call it, they have that opportunity to prove it. The first step is tomorrow night. You have to dust the Ottawa Red Blacks.
Everyone in the West is going to be paying close attention to this game tonight. Sounds like it's going to be some ugly conditions. Cold. I mean, I think the high in Calgary today is 12. It's raining all day. But this is a massive game for both BC and Calgary. Shocking to think that Calgary, as good as they've looked at times, could be 4-6 and 5th place in the West at the end of play today. But thoughts on this game tonight and what's at stake for both teams?
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. And I wish the weather was going to cooperate a little better. I think it's a great opportunity for the BC Lions to flex their run game again. I mean, yes, Nathan Rourke is back in the lineup. He's obviously a huge boost. Didn't look great last week against the Hamilton Tiger Cats as he was knocking the rust off coming back from that shoulder injury. But I think he's only going to get better. But the BC Lions are number 1 right now in yards per carry. They're also number 1 defensively in yards per carry allowed. So if I'm going into a rainy, wet, disgusting McMahon Stadium, I'm going to try to run the ball down the Calgary Stampeders' throats, just like I did a couple weeks ago, right? Buck Pierce came to Winnipeg, got the win against his former team. I think he can do it again tonight in Calgary. Were you surprised that the line, Huss, minus 5.5 for the Stamps? I was raising an eyebrow at that. I
immediately bet BC.
Yeah, I don't know how the BC Lions on a 2-game winning streak. Yeah, they haven't looked great, but like the Calgary Stampeders got 4 picks last week against Toronto and lost. I don't know how they're getting 5.5 points at home in an ugly rain-soaked game. Now, Dedrick Mills is great. The Calgary Stampeders can run the ball well. I like their offensive line, but defensively, they've had a lot of struggles this year. Like this team is almost, and might even still be on pace to set a scoring record, single-season scoring record for the Canadian Football League. However, defensively, they're giving up almost as many points as they're scoring. So I love their front 4 defensively. It's the best front 4 in the CFL, in my opinion, particularly when they get the chance to pin their ears back and rush the passer. But behind that defensive line, they've had some big challenges at times.
John and the gang have some great stuff at 3 Down Nation, including the mid-season CFL All-Stars. We were kicking around some CFL topics with Marshall Ferguson yesterday, and we got talking about the Montreal Alouettes, who are number 1 on everybody's power poll. And we got talking about this historic season that Tyson Philpott is having. He could very well set the all-time record for receiving yardage in a season, touchdowns in a season, and then you've got Davis Alexander playing at the level that he is, the guy that makes everything happen for Montreal. How hard is it going to be to pick for the FRC contingent in Montreal to decide who the MOP is of the Montreal Alouettes?
Well, and by extension, the MOP of the CFL, because one of these 2 guys is winning.
Book it.
One of these 2 guys is winning. If I'm a Montreal voter, and it sounds bad, but bear with me. I'm kind of hoping that one of these guys has to sit for a few weeks. Nothing serious, but like I hope one plays 18 games and the other late in the year it's like a little ankle thing. Okay, just sit for a couple weeks because then you can check it off and no one's going to get mad at you. For me, I'll put my cards on the table for our internal voting at 3 Down Nation for our mid-season awards. I did have Davis Alexander in my number 1 spot, Tyson Philpott in my number 2 spot, and that's because I think at the end of the day, Davis Alexander is the straw that stirs the drink. The offensive line is very good there, but Davis does an incredible job of buying time. Doesn't take off to run a lot, but does an amazing job of buying time. His pocket elusivity is as good as any quarterback in this league, outside of maybe Trey Ford, who's not starting right now because of the challenges he has elsewhere in his game. So and obviously, I mean, let's not forget that Tyler Snead is number 2 receiving in the whole Canadian Football League. Like they have the number 1 and number 2 overall receivers. So single season receiving record, which I think is 2,036 yards, set by Alan Pitts. He was not the MOP of the CFL that season. Why? Because Doug Flutie was throwing him the ball, and Doug Flutie won MOP that season. So there's precedent for the quarterback to win it over the receiver. We can all argue that maybe quarterbacks get too much of the credit when things are going well, the blame when things are going badly. I get that, but to me, it's Davis Alexander, and then a very, very, very little gap, and then Tyson Philpott, and then a cosmic gap, and everybody else.
All of your CFL news waiting for you over at 3downnation.com. John Hodge with us. John, it is great to see you in person. Thanks so much for doing this, and I know you're down to go get us some words from the visitors who are looking for that elusive win number 1. And of course, you'll have that at 3 Down Nation heading into tomorrow night's game.
Absolutely, yes. We're chatting with Ryan. I'm chatting with Ryan Dinwiddie and a few members of the Red Blacks a little bit later on. So looking forward to that.
John, our favorite little brown jug generic for you. Really appreciate you coming down today, buddy. That was awesome for you to do that. And you can have a couple of those getting ready for the Sea Bears game on Saturday and the Gold Eyes game on Sunday. How about that?
I thought you were going to say the Bomber game. I'm like, no, I can't.
No, the Bomber game. I'll take 4, and that'll be my side of this equation.
Sounds good.
Thanks for doing this.
Cheers.
There is John Hodge of 3 Down Nation. We're going to move on from yesterday and get ready for Saturday afternoon. One game for all the marbles, the CEBL championship game, Sea Bears and Brampton at Canada Life Center. Sea Bears head coach Mike Raimbault is back in Winnipeg. He'll fill us in on what the heck happened last night, and we'll get ready for championship Saturday next on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Well, Friday night, Princess Auto Stadium is going to be the place to be as the Bombers looking to get back in the win column against the Ottawa Red Blacks. 7 days a week, though, the place to be is the brand new Princess Auto at 500 Panet Road. Of course, Princess Auto founded and headquartered right here in Winnipeg, and now coast to coast across the country now has opened their flagship store, 105,000 square feet at 500 Panet Road. And if you haven't been in there, book off a little bit of time and check it out. Make sure to check out the shop where you've got all the tools there. You can learn them, free classes with Reed Carruthers and his great staff there. Obviously, an expanded stock of literally everything, including hunting, fishing, camping, and even a spot where you can try out archery equipment and crossbows and whatnot. Oh, and don't forget, come hungry, breakfast sandwiches, incredible smash burgers. It is a new shopping experience that Winnipeg's never seen before. 500 Panet Road at the brand new Princess Auto. And of course, you can check them out online at princessauto.com. Our friends at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli have had one heck of a summer, and that's not a new thing. They've been doing it for 80 years as the preeminent power sports superstore in Manitoba. If you are looking for new or used motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, golf carts, boats and outboard motors, or recreational vehicles, Chud's Power Sports is your number one spot for that. So head on up to Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231. Check in with the Derminator and our friends out at Chud's. They'll take very good care of you. And even if summer's winding down for you and you're already looking around to the corner to the snow flying, great 2027 promos and deals on snow machines as well coming up. And it's all waiting for you at Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba's Power Sports Superstore for over 80 years up in Gimli. You can start shopping today and get those ideas going online at chudspowersports.com. Been a great summer for our friends at St. Vital Dental Center. Saw Dr. Terry on the weekend getting out of town, but it's back to work for he and his team as everyone gets ready for the school year. St. Vital Dental Center has been serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans. So if you are looking for a long-term home for you and your family at one of the top dental clinics, make it St. Vital Dental Center. Beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's Road with convenient free parking right behind the building. And St. Vital Dental Center is where you'll get everything taken care of in one spot, from things like cleanings and checkups to dental surgeries and dental implants. They do it all. So for all your dental needs, hit them up online at St. Vital Dental Center. Make an appointment, and when you pop in, tell them the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. Wow, what a sports weekend we've got coming up. Big weekend in the Canadian Football League. Jays are still grinding, trying to hang in there. We've got the CEBL Championship Series, and of course, NFL right around the corner, which means get ready to spend some time at your local Boston Pizza. No better place to get together with your gang for the big game than your local BP and enjoy ice-cold schooners, world-famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and more, and all the great vibe of Boston Pizza lounges. If you're not at the games, the next best place to be is Boston Pizza. And don't forget, if you're staying at home, you can always get the great taste of BP by ordering online at bostonpizza.com.
Right back at the Forks at the Travel Manitoba Visitor Information Center. Michael Grajewski, Murat attached still to come. But let's focus in on the Sea Bears. We had an aborted start to the championship series last night, and now Saturday, 2:30, Canada Life Center for all the marbles, Sea Bears in Brampton. And the head coach, Mike Raimbault, kind enough to pop by. Mike, great to have you with us. Thanks so much. And I was hoping to talk to you, congratulate you on a big Game 1 win, but guess we got to wait till Saturday. That was something last night.
That was something. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You ever, you've been involved in this game for a long, long time. You ever been involved in anything like that?
I've never been involved in a game that didn't actually get played. 1 year at Nationals with UAW, the fire alarm went off just before Game 1 of the tournament, and we had to go across the street, leave the venue for about 30 minutes before we played. So that was probably the closest similar situation, but last night was quite bizarre.
Take us through what happened. I mean, you're out there. I mean, you got the team, a whole bunch of fans are there. I mean, you guys are ready to play for a championship. You get ready, you go. At what point did you kind of realize, like, wow, wait a second, we may have some serious issues?
Yeah, I mean, we noticed it basically as soon as we took the floor for warm-up. Coaches and players were out there getting loose, and there were a few guys slipping. I watched Trey McGowan's doing a stationary ball handling drill, and he slipped. So we knew that there was some issues with the floor pretty early on. At about the 30-minute mark in warm-up, both teams actually got together, players from each team, saying, like, hey, do you think that this is safe for all of us? So the players were keenly aware of some of the challenges of the playing surface, and then it just sort of shook down the way that it did. I mean, we ended up starting the game, and even if you watched the game, everyone was pretty tentative for how they could move, and thankfully no one was injured on either side.
What, because many of us were watching the game and said, okay, we've got an issue here. They're going to take a break for 20 minutes. I mean, at that point, was it, well, we're just going to see if there's anything that can be done? Or was it pretty clear, like, guys, like, this ain't changing in 20 minutes?
Yeah, in our locker room, we were fairly certain that the game wouldn't be playable. Obviously, it was, a lot of moving parts and conversations and questions being asked at all levels, from the league to the teams. There was a handful of meetings that we're all getting pulled into to see what was going to happen, and yeah, it was a bizarre night, but we're back and we're ready to move forward on to Saturday.
I mean, that is the bottom line, and I was saying this earlier. I mean, listen, it's an embarrassing time, moment for the league, and that is not something that anyone wanted to see. As unfortunate a scenario as this championship series started with, I think we're going to go from one end of the spectrum to the other on Saturday afternoon, when this league in this country sees the best of the support of the CEBL, The crowd were already selling into the upper bowl. I imagine this will be one of, if not the biggest crowd we've ever seen for a Sea Bears game. You add in the stakes, the championship trophies being handed out on Saturday afternoon. I think we do have the makings of a great ending, even if the start of the finals was not exactly the way the league planned.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, last night we had a ton of Winnipeg contingent in the building.
It was
in Brampton.
impressive.
So there was a great turnout. I mean, obviously Saturday will be absolute madness, which should be a lot of fun.
Now, I have to say, first off, congratulations on being here right now, because, this is the latest sort of adversity. The win that you guys had last week, I'm thinking Winnipeg sports teams that we follow and cover every day. I can't remember a team that had been through what you guys had been through over the course of a week after earning everything throughout the regular season with a great home record. And, you have the opportunity to go and play for home court. You don't get that done. We talked about the travel stuff. And then Teddy gets hurt. 2 guys leave. And I think a lot of people from the outside, obviously not in your room, looked at this and go, man, what a brutal way for their season to just blow up on them. But the expectations weren't high. How did you guys do it with all that adversity and such a short bench?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you just look at the professionalism and the belief of our group, I think we obviously did deal with a great amount of adversity. There was a lot of challenges. But as a group, I mean, we really showed a lot of fortitude. We didn't really ever get distracted from the task at hand. A lot of people in the locker room had opportunities to step up and take on a bigger role, and they all rose to the occasion. And I think it forced our group to really double down on how much everybody is needed to be successful. And in part of that led to, just really strong team play. And even when we went out to Vancouver, I mean, I think the belief from our group was that we're not just going there to play a game. Our intention was to come home Western champions.
I want to lean on you just as a coach for a minute in this situation. Obviously I'd imagine, sometimes your game plan, differs depending on who you're playing and what the defense is. Obviously who you have available. Teddy Allen has been a guy that he's the finisher, right? I mean, he scores as well as anybody in the league. He's out. You miss your big guy, the guy that, was going up against some of these other giants in the paint. From a coaching perspective, what did that do to you when you were trying to say, okay, we've got a very different team. We still got to score more points than the other team. How did that change the outlook and the way that you put that team together and, assign guys to do their roles in those 2 playoff games without the 3 guys that were there for most of the regular season?
Yeah, I think, really as a group, what we did is we looked at, what it was going to take to be successful. And, we were honest that maybe our margins for error had shrunk a little bit. But with that came the challenge to play our absolute best as a group. And we talked about all season how we wanted to, play our best games at the most important time. And we had a large contingency of people that have been a part of that. And, they concentrated on the details that it was going to take to get it done. And, went out and played really flawless game against Saskatchewan. If you look at super low turnovers.
2 turnovers.
Which was obviously part of the game plan. Yeah, for sure. The coach is always happy when there's only 2 turnovers. So, just playing really well together and trusting one another and not trying to do too much, stepping into some bigger roles and opportunities, but also doing it as a collective effort. The game against the Mamba here, where, I think a lot of people knew, even though you guys had a better record and were favored, everything was just so up in the air because the team was so different for that game. They got a couple of big dudes. That 15 in the middle. And, man, seeing Burns, seeing Simon bang inside in roles that now, I'm sure there's a lot of guys that showed you a lot in that game, that they were ready for increased responsibility and obviously carried that through into Vancouver. For sure. I think, you mentioned Simon and DJ Burns. Both of those guys, arguably could have played more minutes at different times of the season. And I think, it's a huge testament to who they are as people to, have stayed the course and, obviously feeling some frustration at certain points in the season that they could be contributing in a greater fashion, but also staying ready for when the opportunity did present itself. And both of those guys have been instrumental for our run so far.
Now, it's been a weird 10 days, to say the least, for your club. But I think we know that this game is going to be played. We know tip-off's going to be at 2:30. We know the championship trophy is going to be in the house. Fill us in. Team coming back today. What will the next sort of 48 hours be like for the Winnipeg Sea Bears before it's showtime?
Yeah, it'll be pretty much just business status quo. I mean, we'll get together tomorrow for practice. We'll review the details again. It's kind of a bizarre situation because you are prepared to play in the game and you're expecting to make some adjustments and look at what game 2 will be looking like. But we'll review the information, and I mean, our game plan doesn't change too much. It's just a matter of going out and trying to put our best performance on the floor.
We mentioned Simon Hildebrand with the numbers. I mean, I think he played over 36 minutes in the last game. I mean, you had a bunch of the Canadian guys are stepping up big time. I mean, yeah. Kraus and Filowich, though, as well, having a big part in it. It's kind of, I'm sure your team left with every single guy feeling like I was a big part of that win, and that's not always the case through the regular season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even going into the SAS game, I mean, we said, we've been through a pretty tumultuous week, and, we know that some things have changed with our group, but we have an opportunity to make history. I mean, we were on the hunt for our organization's first playoff win and, to go out and win in Vancouver, and now we're continuing our hunt to, continue to make history.
Most fans, that have been watching this team for a few years have been most familiar with Teddy Allen, and we know what happened with him, and he's unavailable. We heard a lot about Xavier Moon all year. Again, all these challenges took a while for him to get here, but man, has he been as advertised. This isn't just a guy that's won MVPs, incredibly experienced, won championships. In a scenario like this where you maybe have to lean more on your star players, what have you learned about Moon and how he is able to, at times sort of lift everybody up with him with the way that he plays and distributes the ball, getting everybody involved?
Yeah, he's a tremendous leader. I mean, I think he's obviously got a huge amount of confidence in what he's able to do, and that has trickled down to the rest of the players and coaches. In terms of dealing with bizarre things, I mean, he had 3 fouls in the first quarter out in Vancouver, and the way that he managed that situation even was unbelievably professional, and to stay in the rhythm of the game and to have his numbers at the end of the game not really reflect the challenges of being in foul trouble, and to continue to be aggressive when he needed to be. He's special. He's been a lot of fun to be around. It took a long time for him to get on the court, but he was a part of our group for a bit of time before he started to play, and you can absolutely see the trickle down of his confidence and swagger and belief in what we're trying to do.
Well, I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of Mr. Moon on Saturday afternoon. The game is at 2:30. The upper bowl is open for the game. If you do not have your tickets right now, go to cbears.ca. Count yourself in. Just quickly, a word.
They played a big part of our success this season, and the game against Saskatchewan was a lot of fun. There was a lot of energy in the building at that point, and now we're playing for all the marbles on Saturday. So we very much expect to blow the doors off the place.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got a jet season coming up. I hope the roof's still intact after Saturday, but I'll tell you what, if it's stressed a little bit, that'll be good things for the home team. Really looking forward to the game. Congratulations on all the success this season. An incredible run to this championship series, and better late than never. Go get them on Saturday afternoon. Good luck, Mike.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Mike Raimbault, head coach of the Winnipeg Sea Bears. One game for all the marbles Saturday at Canada Life, 2:30 p.m. Get your tickets at cbears.ca. Coming back, Murat from The Athletic. And in addition to that Sea Bears game on Saturday, some great ideas with Michal from Travel Manitoba on some must-see and do things before the end of the month in this Manitoba summer.
Hard to believe that hockey season is just about here, but if you head down to Royal Sports at 750 Pembina Highway, you'll know that it is. Royal Sports has been Manitoba's hockey superstore for over 50 years. And with players getting back into camps, training, and getting ready for training camps, the Royal Sports Hockey Department is a very busy place. For new players, they've got you covered from top to bottom, whether it's sticks, skates, equipment for goalies. Royal has it all. And the best part about it is they've got hockey players working in the hockey department to make sure they're getting you fitted properly and getting the right equipment for your level and need. It's not just hockey, though, of course. We've got everything coming from the summer. Huge selection of bikes and e-bikes, soccer, softball, baseball, tennis. And for your fan gears coming in, new NHL merch and new NFL merch coming by the week. It's all waiting for you at Royal Sports, Manitoba's sports superstore, 750 Pembina Highway. Give them a follow on Instagram for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. What a run and season it's been for our Winnipeg Goldeyes, who did not sweep the weekend. The incredible franchise record winning streak ended at 13. But it's time to start another one with a big week-long homestand beginning tomorrow night on Toonie Tuesday with all those great concession specials. The Goldeyes are right in it, taking a run at first place, and it's going to be an incredibly exciting final month of the season. So make sure to get out for some Goldeyes baseball this week, starting on Tuesday, right through Sunday. Goldeyes.com/tickets is where you're going to want to get your seats. Make sure to get them into your phone digitally so you can just walk right into the game and avoid lines. And you can go to goldeyes.com for more information on the remaining schedule as well as promo nights. We'll have Andrew Collier set up to see the homestand hopefully tomorrow on the program, but make plans to get out to the ballpark this week. Goldeyes are playing some great baseball, and there's nothing like Blue Cross Park in the summer. Speaking of the summer, there's still some time to get out and do some great things, folks. And if you are planning another adventure, make sure to start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting at travelmanitoba.com. Looking for ideas on the go? Follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't-miss experiences from across the province. Or if you want a personal touch, pop down to the Visitor Information Center at the Forks in Winnipeg. One of those great things to do in Manitoba during the summer is hit up Assiniboia Downs, and they are back with live racing tomorrow and Wednesday this week, 7:30 post time. Of course, that's free parking, free admission, and all the great times at Assiniboia Downs. They do also, a date to remember is August 24th. A couple Mondays from now, they'll be back at it with a special Monday night of live racing. It's the Monday Madness concession deals, and the Wiener Dogs are back. They were such a big hit earlier this year. So make a point of getting down to Assiniboia Downs, and if you do want to really do it up, make a reservation in the clubhouse dining room. Get on that prime rib buffet and enjoy the racing from the clubhouse dining room. But whether you're in the third level, on the grounds, in the dining room, there's nothing like a night at Assiniboia Downs.
All right, Murat is going to join us in just a moment. And then our pal Michael Grajewski. We got some good things on the docket for the next few weeks around the city and around the province. Remo, how'd you do at the track last night?
Yeah, I had one winner, which was good. Although they say, "What do you win when you win?" And I won $5.80 on a $4 wager. So picking the favorites gets you an easy victory, but it's not increasing the bankroll. I mean, I didn't lose, so that's good. But I'm trying to beat you. I'm trying to win, and winning $1 on a $4 bet. I got to aim. I think I got to aim a bit higher.
There was a couple of very chalky winners last night. I had the other one, and I think he went off at like 1-9.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a large win, but it certainly was a beautiful night at the track. They're back at it Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, and then Monday, August 24th, is when the is when the Wiener Dogs are back and all those great concession specials. So Tuesday and Wednesday throughout the rest of the summer and fall, but also some select Mondays. And on those Mondays, they got some wild concession deals, including $2 hot dogs and $2 ice cream. All right, let's talk a little hockey. And look who is back after a few weeks away enjoying the summer with this young family. It is our good friend Murat Atesh. Murat, thanks so much for doing this. What's going on?
Hey, Huss. Thank you for having me. And just a shout out to the Good Samaritans of the world. I was on the road today, far away from Winnipeg, and I was being driven by an 80-year-old family friend who was driving us in her Subaru Impreza, which blew a tire on the side of a road, threw on the hazard, stepped outside, took 20 seconds. We had a pit crew of 3 different cars that stopped. Somebody offered a patch kit, somebody else had a jack or whatever. So we switched this tire with like a huge crew of people. And honestly, Huss, these days when I see somebody with hazards on the side of the road, I'm like, oh, they're just on their phone or something like this. So like, good on you, world. Way to show up. I'm having a good time of Good Samaritans today. And I mean, it's not Jets, but I had to share it because it really impressed me.
The world needs more good news stories of people helping out. And, you know, a couple 80-year-olds blow a tire. We should have a NASCAR pit crew team out there helping them out right off the bat. So it's that is great stuff to hear. How you been? Just getting some good time away? And we know things are going to get real busy real soon.
Yeah, things are going to get real busy real soon. And for me, just trying to enjoy all the summer bits. So like recently we went out to Montreal for a couple of weeks. My mom was out there. I got her Jets takes, which were honestly like minimal. All she wanted was to play with my baby and like hang out with her granddaughter. She took like 5 days to ask me a single hockey question, which in the lifetime of my knowing my mother, it has not worked out that way. Her only thing is, you know, she doesn't know the ins and outs of Connor Hellebuck's situation, but if he doesn't want to be here, she says, get rid of him. And that's just Winnipeg pride, I think, coming through. I don't know that she's super feeling connected to all those things. And then, yeah, right now with some family friends, car situations are resolved. Just trying to hit all the bases, enjoy all the fatherhood, and even got a new piece up, which is good too. So that's kind of what I've been up to the last couple of weeks here.
Well, yes, and I mean it's kind of a good little segue. But by the way, I'm not surprised that Grandma's more interested right now in the middle of August and not the machinations of the off season of our local hockey team, but her beautiful granddaughter. But, you know, we've had a great time talking about the changes in your life. You've got a great long-form piece at The Athletic right now about one Josh Morrissey, who we have sort of seen grow up right in front of our eyes. And you and Josh are sort of in the same boat right now.
Yeah, it's great. First, I'm just blown away. I don't have a great size of screen, but there's a dinosaur over your shoulder, which is throwing me a little bit.
The dinosaur.
I wish I were down there with you, to be honest. But I'll just speak to what you said there. Yeah, I mean, Josh Morrissey, new dad, 3-month-old, born shortly after the season ended. So, you know, I think a lot of people are wondering, like, well, hey, why didn't he go to Worlds? What was going on there? And in addition to just getting himself back in order after the season that was, I mean, becoming a new dad, pretty big deal. He shared some pictures of himself with his son Hayes, watching round 2 of the playoffs, I think from the hospital room is what it looked like. And Josh Morrissey is a thoughtful person. He is a thoughtful, intelligent, articulate speaker. So when he sits down and Hayes is on his lap and the both of them are chatting at you about what it's been like for him to be a new dad for the last couple of months, you listen. We had a great call. We're able to relate to some of the situations. It opens with the story in the Dublin airport where he is just at his wit's end with a stroller and a gate check situation, which if you're not a parent, and that was me 7-8 months ago, I'm like, why is that? I didn't relate to it at all. And now as a parent who's like dealing with like the 18 different devices that you travel with to go anywhere, it hit home. It hit home. Josh Morrissey saying he's usually good under pressure, but when a whole airplane's watching him disassemble a stroller, it was a pretty good chat.
You know, he, I mean, obviously he's been a fan favorite. And as I mentioned, he's been such a huge part of this hockey club. You know, I know you had a piece earlier on about the contract values, and no surprise. I mean, Josh Morrissey, you know, one of the best deals in the entire league right now. But there's only so much time left on that contract. And of course, we know what happened last year. This is a massive year for the player and particularly the team when it comes to, you know, the future of both this core, of which Josh Morrissey might be one of, if not the most important piece of.
Yeah, I mean, like, go back to the piece I had up at The Athletic 2 days ago before this story about Josh Morrissey and his fatherhood. It's a depth chart piece, and we went tip to toe of the organization and every different corner, everyone under contract at the NHL or AHL level. And you look at Winnipeg's left side on defense, it could be Winnipeg's biggest strength if you weren't concerned about the fact that Morrissey and Sandberg have 2 years left each on their contracts. That is an enormous deal. The fact that they're getting the value that they are from Morrissey at, you know, $6 million is an incredible accomplishment for the Jets from a cap perspective. But like you say, that is coming to an end soon. And you know what? At the end of our call, for the story that went up today, you know, I asked Josh about the Connor Hellebuck situation. You know, what's going on with your goalie these days? And he said, well, he's not going to put words in anybody's mouth. And he's not going to, you know, suggest you should believe every report you ever see. But it sounded like he was also waiting and watching with kind of bated breath to see how this all gets resolved. And Josh Morrissey has told me before, he hopes to retire a Winnipeg Jet. This is a place that has meant so much to him. It means so much to him. This is a foundational piece of Winnipeg Jets, I think, moving forward as well. I'm not looking to start the panic train there, but he did suggest a little bit of empathy for somebody at 33 years old who might be feeling like, hey, I'm not 20 anymore. I don't have an eternity in the NHL with which to win anymore. Time may be running out. And the pressures that some individuals might feel in those situations, I think Morrissey, just being an intelligent, articulate person, he had time to think about that. And if you're the Winnipeg Jets and you're a Winnipeg Jets fan and you want to see this team be good and stay good, well, you better hope that the Jets can put together a couple of strong seasons here, because that will go a long way towards retaining such another cornerstone piece of the franchise.
Well, which is why I think in a million years, no one could have imagined a potential Hellebuck trade unless it was pushed by the player. Like, listen, there's plenty of takes out there. A lot of people think the Jets would be crazy not to find a trade partner for Connor Hellebuck and trade that great contract and, you know, restock this team and make them better. Maybe not in the short term, but more in the long term. I would imagine that players like Josh Morrissey maybe don't share that thought. They know how good Connor Hellebuck is, and they certainly know how important he's been to this team for a long time. If that trade happens, what do you think that does to a player like Josh Morrissey? And will it all basically come down to how well the team does this year, or losing a guy that has been the backbone, the, you know, part of this core and, you know, the framework of this team for such a long time? I mean, is that something that might kind of change the way a player like Morrissey looks at his short and long-term future?
Well, obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of how that will go. But when I asked Josh about the season that was and the expectations ahead of the Winnipeg Jets, and, you know, I put what I thought was a fairly difficult question to him. And I said, if Connor Hellebuck wants out, and the presumed reporting on this and the understanding that we all have is, you know, he wants to win soon, it sounds like an indictment of the team's ability to win now. And is that a situation that, you know, is that something that guys take personally, right? And like, and again, Josh Morrissey, he pumped the brakes on that a little bit and said, look, I'm not going to put words in anybody's mouth, all that sort of stuff. But I can speak for myself and I believe in this team. And well, at the first, then he gave the spiel about why we should believe in this team. And the first name on it was Connor Hellebuck's, right? Like Connor Hellebuck is the best goalie in the world, he said. And he went on to praise Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Gabriel Velarde. He took a moment to say, hey, I believe in my own skills too. And then he went down the list. Particularly, I also want to add that he talked about some real big pushes from Cole Perfetti and Dylan Sandberg this year. So he's all in. But Connor Hellebuck's at the front of the reasons to believe. So that, I think, is noteworthy. And then just to guess at what would happen if the Winnipeg Jets traded Connor Hellebuck, I think major moments like that, for better or for worse, trade return, whatever it is, it just makes people take stock. So if it's a situation where, it's like going to somebody's wedding and you're like, wait, is my life in order? Or somebody has a kid, you're like, is my life in order? Well, you trade Connor Hellebuck. I think if you have a contract coming up, you go, okay, is everything in order? And again, not in Josh Morrissey's head about that one particular detail, I think a lot of Winnipeg Jets would need to see Winnipeg be a really high quality team to double down on the Jets the way that they have done in the past multiple times.
Murat Atesh of The Athletic with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Murat, did you talk to Josh at all about the newest member of the team, the first-round pick, Vigo Bjork? Is Vigo Mania on his radar at all? Or as a veteran player, you're like, well, I mean, there's a lot of guys coming to camp. You just go and see, and hopefully he fits in.
Yeah, you know what? We didn't get into Vigo Mania from Josh Morrissey's perspective. It's funny, you talk to the veterans, they usually name veterans in terms of the things to be excited about in a team. And it just reminded me that when we were heading into the draft and, some people were making the argument that they should trade the pick. And I was trying to say, no, they shouldn't, blah, blah, blah. I would often come up against the argument that, well, the veterans don't give a damn who the Jets can pick in the first round because they're not going to help soon enough. And that's a realistic perspective for a lot of people. I think, though, in Vigo's case, the Jets seem, from what I can tell, inclined to attempt to give this player more opportunity earlier than they have with recent top prospects. And I think he is also a prospect who probably deserves it or will earn it a little bit more as well. So that we didn't talk about, but believe you me, that's something I've been thinking about.
Murat, the other piece that you referenced is the Jets roster projections, strengths, weaknesses, and the pressure to make changes. How different do you think this lineup's going to look on October 2nd?
I mean, I still don't know why or how expect that trade to happen. And it's getting harder and harder to believe in August. Usually in a situation like this, player does end up back because teams aren't desperate for him at this time of year. Although we did see Patrick Laine play that, was it one game? He put up 3 points and then they traded him for Pierre-Luc Dubois during that season. And that's kind of what I'm beginning to be reminded of. So I would expect the possibility for it to be very different still exists. At the same time, even without that, well, you've got a better backup, i.e. a 1B goalie in Stuart Skinner if Hellebuck's still around. That's a pretty sizable difference. If Hellebuck's away for a month knee scope, well, Stuart Skinner's probably going to put up a better performance than Eric Comrie did last year. And that could have been the difference between the playoffs and not making the playoffs last year. I think the Jets are also really concerted to try to get a little bit younger, try to get a little bit faster. For them, it's only existing at the edges of the roster right now, right? Like they didn't re-sign Gus Nyquist, Taves retired. Logan Stanley, they have not signed him. Shen's elsewhere. Noah Gregor can skate. They re-signed Cole Koepke. He's a burner. Does that mean more opportunity for Morgan Barron? I'm not sure. Like Mario Ferraro, certainly his retrieval should be at pace for that third pair. There's very modest improvements by virtue of just having prime-aged players like those 27-year-olds in a lot of those guys' cases who are moving a little bit better. So is that a sea change? No, not necessarily, but there's more possibilities available, I think, for this team than usually there is at this time of year.
The other day on the why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray, I hit people with this, and let me give it to you. there is opportunity. They didn't go and sign a bunch of older veterans to plug holes on one-year deals. There's Brad Lambert. There's Isak Rosen, Danny Zhilkin, Nikita Chibrikov. If you had to order those players in number of games played in the National Hockey League this year, obviously there's a whole bunch of, guys can get hurt and whatnot, but who do you expect to play the most of that group? I mean, if you were picking one guy to sort of make a bet on this year based on both opportunity and what they bring to the table, who of those four do you think could have the biggest impact?
I'm going to say that's tough for me, but I'm probably leaning Isak Rosen. And for me, I think the Jets will do their best to give Brad Lambert some runway there as well. He started to look more legitimate at the end of last season, but what he doesn't have on his resume, at least not recently, is the quadruple A offense that Isak Rosen put together at the AHL level. I think that amongst players at his age level for his production in the AHL, Isak Rosen has a sneaky good sleeper resume for somebody who may emerge as a top six forward. I don't see it there yet, to be clear. I don't think that he's ready for it at this stage. I think he's got a lot to prove to push his way up the depth chart. But of those guys that you name, that's the one that, I'm most willing to be surprised by. Oh my goodness, look at what he was capable of.
Murat, in game number 1, if Viggo Bjork is at center on the second line, Adam Lowry will be the second line, will be the center on the third line, I think, regardless. Is it more likely, in your opinion, that Morgan Barron is the center on the fourth line? Or is Morgan Barron more likely to start the season riding and playing more minutes with Adam Lowry on the third line of the Jets?
I can only answer that based on Jets history and suggest Morgan Barron as the fourth. Now, the call.
We just lose him? I think he maybe had a call that just popped out and then knocked him out. I'm sure he'll pop back in just a minute. Always more of a challenge at some point when those
say for sure he's a top six player at this moment. However, based on Jets history and the minutes that he got, I think that's him. I know that the Jets have other options as well. And maybe Danny Zhilkin that you mentioned is somebody we shouldn't lose sight of from here yet either. But yeah, I'm thinking more likely there. But the question of who plays with Adam Lowry in that trio is going to be one that I'm particularly curious to see, because Lowry needs a bounce back year in a big way.
Well, he certainly does. And, a couple of the guys that have been the usual suspects, Murat, to me, the training camp is going to be really interesting for the likes of Nino Niederreiter and Vlad Nemetsnikov. I mean, these guys are coming in off of down years. They have 1 year remaining on their contract. There's far more younger players in the mix without waivers exemption that are playing, that are going to be in the mix right now. I mean, what do you make of the challenges for those two veterans coming into camp to earn spots on the roster and in the lineup?
For all that they've accomplished, for all of their resumes, for all of the times that, Nino Niederreiter back-checked 200 feet and stole a goal from another team by getting all the way back to the post by Connor Hellebuck. And I don't think we should lose track of moments like that have happened. For all those times Vladislav Nemetsnikov briefly went beast mode on that line with the Ehlers and Perfetti a couple of years ago. Last season was a huge step back for both players. And they're at ages where, well, hey, if they've lost a step, that's a problem. They're not so dynamic at other aspects of the game. They are versatile, but they may eventually get passed by the same way Gus Nyquist seems to have, in that nobody signed him yet. At the same time, I think the Jets are probably going to show both of them more patience than I see from the fan base right now. I think that they're going to look at the track record of each of those players, not only on the ice, but in terms of having chosen Winnipeg with their contracts a couple of times. And I also think that part of Winnipeg's self-assessment from last year is that a lot of guys were banged up, and that applies to both of those players as well. So I think that they're going to get that veteran runway again to show that they still have a game in them. And I would encourage fans to try to keep an open mind even after such disappointing seasons about each player, until such a time comes that we're 30 games in and they're just not making anything happen. And then they'll get past, and then they need to get past.
Murat, one other thing that happened this week was the announcement of the Tyrell Bauer contract, which was interesting in that the second year is a one-way deal. I mean, did you read anything into that?
Like the structure of being a one-way deal in the second year, and the idea that he would make the same amount of money in the NHL or AHL. So even if they got to put him on waivers, which they would, he'd be, he'd cost them the same for the Moose, so he'd be a more likely NHL piece in that situation. I think that from a player's perspective, the guaranteed money is nice. I think the theoretical impetus to keep him up with the big club in that situation is also nice. But we've seen players in that position waived before. It's not a guarantee of a roster spot. It may be, from the organization's point of view, a concession that they made or something they volunteered as incentive, though, because Tyrell Bauer is a unique player type on the Jets. And certainly I think he impressed the Moose this year, and that he wasn't just a physical presence for them. He was able to play a top four role and survive it and contribute. At the NHL level, he's still going to need to do some growing to get to that level. I think we should keep him around in the back of our minds as somebody who may surprise us with an NHL career at some point, especially if he keeps developing. I think we need to see more, but next year then we'll have another year under his belt, and we'll see what progression he's been able to make. I think it is a nice sort of feather in his cap that, and I won't take it further than that. I don't think it's a guarantee of NHL time so much as a little bit of a boost and some extra money no matter what comes his way.
That being said, Salmonson's probably out for the first month or two of the regular season. There will be an opening on the right side. I made the case earlier this year that not playing at the end of the year due to injury might have been a blessing in disguise, in that there is a spot right now. There is a massive need for toughness outside of Adam Lowry in this roster. And I'll make the case that having Mario Ferraro added to the mix would put a player like Bauer, if he was lined up with Ferraro on that third pairing with a veteran guy that can move the puck, in a much better chance to maybe succeed and hold their own than they would have last year. Are you with me on that, or not really?
Well, I do think Mario Ferraro is of such quality that it gives you more runway on the third pair. I've said that word so many times, but there's a difference in quality of competition that third pairing defensemen face. The Jets have a long line of players who they broke into the NHL on the third pair. Many of them were unable to grow into the top four role that they really lean on guys for. Sandberg was one where he was third pair for a year. He grew, he showed his ability all over the ice. He became a top four defenseman. But then there's so many who could succeed, could win their minutes on the third pair, didn't make it higher. So do I think that a whole lot of different types of players could survive on the third pair, especially with a veteran like Ferraro? Yeah, I think that there's some reason to believe in that. Do I think that toughness is uniquely absent on the Winnipeg Jets? Yes, also. There was a day when the Winnipeg Jets were feared for their physicality, and that day is long gone. It's several years long gone, I would say, at this stage. Does that mean that they have to play Bauer if he's not up to the job in other areas? No, but it does mean that this one thing he can do better than anyone else available, and that's fight, and that's do something that takes a few fights every year off of Adam Lowry's fight card. I think the Jets would be interested in that, given that Lowry's your number one in that sort of regard, and your captain, and your shutdown C, and needs a bounce back and needs to focus on the ice a little bit too. Like, I would, if Tyrell Bauer is your third pair right-handed defenseman to start the year, I would understand those lists of reasons. Would I automatically believe he was the best hockey player of the possibilities? No, but I would understand that from a team building perspective at the edge of the roster, that the Winnipeg Jets felt that they needed what he gave them.
Yeah, that with the absence of Salamonson early, I'm going to be very interested to watch St. Ivany, and we pretty much know what Hayden Fleury brings to the table, as well as Bauer. And I know T. Conopoli is already, probably on the verge of starting to tweet at Tanner Jeannot and welcome him to Winnipeg for the home opener with Bauer in the lineup. But obviously there's lots to get to before that, including a full training camp and 4 preseason games next month in September. Murat, great to have you back on the program. Shout out to those good citizens that helped you guys out on the road earlier today. Safe travels, my friend. We'll look forward to seeing you when you're back in the Peg, and talk to you next week.
Thanks for having me. Thanks so much.
Good stuff. There is Murat Atesh. Lots at The Athletic right now from Murat, including a great sit-down, a long-form piece with Josh Morrissey. Check that out right now at theathletic.com. We're going to take a quick time out, come back, and get into... listen, for sports fans, we got Gold Ice tonight. We got Bombers tomorrow. We got the CEBL championship game, but there is so much more than just great sports happening in Winnipeg. We're going to fill you in on some must-dos over the next few weeks here in Manitoba with Michael Grajewski of Travel Manitoba, live from the Forks on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
I saw our pal Doug Brown making the most of the bye week on the weekend. Doug was out at Aikens Lake pulling out some massive fish out of the water. There's still great catches to be had and great times this fishing season, but Aikens Lake is planning well into 2027 right now. If you're thinking about a corporate trip, a family trip, maybe something that you've been waiting to do for many years, booking is going well into 2027 right now. So if you're looking for a fly-in fishing experience where you can be on the water in just a couple hours from Winnipeg with world-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality, that is what the Aikens experience is all about. Check them out online at aikenslake.com or all their social channels at Aikens Lake for more information on remaining availability for 2026 and booking into 2027. Lots going on in the golf course these days. We had Mitchell Brennan run away with the PGA Tour event on the Wyndham, and now it's on to the playoffs. But I can tell you the Breezy Bend Golf Report for this weekend is that Breezy Bend is absolutely mint and immaculate. Got a chance to play there on the weekend, just had a great time with some friends, and holy smokes, is the course in great shape. I think many of our courses are, but we're seeing now, some of the new greens that they built over the last couple of years, the course improvements really starting to take hold and take shape. If you are thinking about a great long-term home for you and your family at one of Winnipeg's top private courses, check out breezybend.ca or give our pal Corey Johnson a call at 895-7205 for more information on Breezy Bend for 2027. All right, we'll continue the show, but first up, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, we are back at the Visitor Information Center at the Forks. What a beautiful day. Great day for some baseball. Gold Eyes are playing tonight. A pleasure to welcome in our good friend Michael Grajewski from Travel Manitoba. I'm just happy you had time to join us today. I thought maybe there'd be like a championship parade for your softball team in downtown Winnipeg today.
Shout out to the Pitches. We won our championship in our league this week. It was a very, very closely contested game. It was very exciting.
The championship rings are ordered and purchased and coming in right now. Where does the banner go up?
I don't know, but we did get credited to our account in the league, so that'll go to our league fees next year, which was like a surprise. It was very, very exciting.
Nicely done. Well, as I mentioned, this, listen, I mean, if you're from Winnipeg, it doesn't get much better than this time of year. It's gorgeous outside, and we were for lunch at the Forks. It's buzzing. And I mean, right now, the Fish are playing their asses off. They're a half game out of first place. They got a game tonight. We got the Bombers, and there's nothing better than a Bomber game. The wins would be nice at home. And then, of course, the Sea Bears in the CEBL championship game on Saturday afternoon. But aside from the packed sports calendar, this is also the time of year to maybe get in the car, get outside, and check out a slate of events and things to see that might not be matched by any other month in the year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of summer left, and there's a lot of cool, interesting things that, maybe the viewers haven't heard of or gone to or seen. One of the things that I was going to talk about today is the Canadian Fossil Discovery Centre in Morden, Manitoba. It's an incredible museum. They've got an incredible gallery there. They have Bruce, the largest mosasaur in the world. In the Jurassic World movies where that big thing comes out of the water and eats the other thing that's big? It's one of those. The movie's a bit larger than it is in real life, but it's pretty big. It would fill this room. It's huge. And so they have an interesting gallery there. They also have a Styxosaurus, which is like one of those long neck reptilian fossils that's new on display. It's all 3D printed. So they scanned fossils and 3D printed each individual piece and rebuilt this out there. Another thing that you can do out there are these dig tours. Now, this is super exciting. You can go out to their dig site. They have one in Miami, Manitoba on the escarpment, and then one that's near Morden on the west side. And you go out there with paleontologists and actually dig for fossils. And basically, you always find one. It's really cool. So if you ever wanted to go and be in an actual Jurassic Park-like setting, you can do this.
Remis, you are the father of a young dinosaur aficionado.
Yes.
I couldn't help but think that your little guy, this actually sounds amazing, especially for young ones that are into dinosaurs.
We were big into the dinosaur phase before. I didn't even know this existed, so I'm glad that I'm listening to this right now. It's good information.
It's super cool. That's Jerry Peters there. You can see he's central casting. He's like...
It's right out of the movie.
He's right out of the movie. He looks the part. It's incredible. And it's tons of fun. You get snacks and lunch and water and all that throughout the day. And it's beautiful. If you've never been out onto the escarpment, you're at the top of this hill. This is where Lake Agassiz started. So it's when you're looking north from there, it's kind of a really impressive thing because from a geological standpoint, you're like, whoa, this was the edge of an ocean. And it's really cool to be up there.
There's a lot of learning that goes into something like that, which, it just looks absolutely amazing. You can check that out, and we'll throw some of this stuff out, but it's the Canadian Fossil Discovery Centre. Over the next few weeks, I was just mentioning on all the great sporting opportunities that's going on right now in the city. We've also got some great sporting events, kind of not your normal hockey football, but starting off with something like, the rodeo is the king of the summer in a lot of rural areas. And I know Verdon's getting ready for the rodeo on Wild West Days.
Yeah, that kicks off today. So the Verdon Rodeo kicks off today in Wild West Days in Verdon, Manitoba. Downtown Days is tonight. And they've got a parade. They've got all this rodeo stuff, obviously, classic rodeo events. They also have a demolition derby. I don't know if
that's the best.
I
have
love
been to a
demolition
couple in
derby.
my time.
It's so much fun. I'm 12. I love watching dudes and cars crash into each other in a controlled, fairly relatively safe environment. But that's happening tonight and this weekend in Verdon. And if you're also inclined, Thursday nights at Victory Lane Speedway, just south of the city, there's
Rev it up.
dirt track racing, which if you've never experienced, it's pretty incredible. I think it's the largest dirt track oval in Western Manitoba or Central Canada, Central Canada or Western Canada. And it's if you're like me, bring some ear protection because it's loud. But if you're into cars, engines, revving, high speeds, and trade and paint, it's pretty amazing. Also, which is interesting, at some point this summer, they will be, maybe it's this summer, I don't know where they are in this, but they've announced that they're going to be doing a drive-in movie theater at Victory Lane Speedway. So you'll be able to drive there, watch a race, and then maybe watch a movie, which is kind of cool.
Hey, if you are going out to Victory Lane Speedway, WSTers, keep your eyes out for the Winnipeg Sports Talk car, Shout out to Rick Delane Racing, often seen in the winner's circle with that beautiful whip. I think we've been with Rick for 5 years right now. He's having a great season so far. I have had the opportunity to take a rip around the track in one of those cars before. That's something you've done a lot of cool things.
That's on my bucket list.
Maybe that's on our list for the next time we go out and fire things up together.
I would definitely do that. That would be awesome. A lot of
fun. Well, of all the things that you've done, have you ever been suplexed off the top rope?
I have not. I don't think I would survive that.
How about at an art gallery?
Yeah, that's you know what? The Winnipeg Pro Wrestling, they're having the masterpiece at the WAG coming up Friday, August 21st on the rooftop patio at the Winnipeg Art Gallery. Winnipeg Pro Wrestling is going to be having wrestling up there. And talk about different ends of the spectrum, like the art gallery community and the wrestling community coming together.
Don't judge us wrestling fans. We're cultured.
No, I'm just saying it's such a cool, I think it's a cool team up.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's my, I got to say this, it's my wedding anniversary tomorrow. And that's where we held our wedding reception. It's a beautiful venue. So, I mean, I can't think of a prettier setting to have people getting camel clutched and like suplexed and all that.
Shout out Iron Sheik.
Yeah, and I mean, if you've never been to the Winnipeg Art Gallery or Kamiyuk, the Inuit Art Gallery there, go early and check out the galleries. It's an incredible space. There's some really cool stuff in the contemporary section. The Inuit art in Kamiyuk, it's the largest collection of Inuit art in the world, and it's really pretty and really interesting. And there's a lot of history there. The galleries themselves are beautiful, and then some jumping off the top turnbuckle. What can go wrong?
The WPW gang does a great job too. They've been putting on events. I mean, they started off, if I'm not mistaken, like at the Sherbrooke Inn.
Right.
It was like low ceilings and doing it, but I mean they have grown. I mean, their events routinely in smaller venues sell out almost immediately. And now they continue to grow. They're doing really cool local events at very unique spaces like the Art Gallery. Yeah. And then they've got their biggest event in the fall every year, the Rumble at the Burt, where they do it at the Burton Cummings Theater. So,
and what a perfect venue for that, especially from that high angle you get from like the third balcony at the Burt. That's like you're almost like on the top turnbuckle view from up there.
Now, I've got to ask you, you through your work with Travel Manitoba have had the opportunity to do a lot of really cool things and see a lot of really cool places.
I've been very fortunate, yeah.
I know, let's face it, when people ask us about Manitoba, Churchill always comes up, and polar bears, but also what about the whales?
Yeah, beluga whale season's happening right now, and so if you're interested in going, this is kind of like a sort of like a heads up to look to next summer. Churchill books up fast. They books up a long time in advance. I was just up there at the end of last month filming an episode of an upcoming episode of Behind the Scenes for our YouTube channel. And we went out on the Zodiac and with these small little boats out into the estuary. And I've never been at a loss for words in my life. And while on camera, I'm surrounded by beluga whales, and they come right up to the boat. It's super special. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, I've been up for polar bear season. I've been up for Northern Lights season. And honestly, being up there for beluga season was probably my favorite time that I've done it. The sounds of the whales breaching and going psh, psh, all around you is really cool. And then you hear the babies go psh, like a smaller psh, like it's super cool. And especially on the Zodiacs, they have these special protection cages around the props. The whales love feeling the pressure on their melon of the water, so they'll come right up behind the boat and get like right up there, and they're as close as I am to you or Remis. There's whales around you.
Little head massage.
Yeah, basically, it's really I mean, from the water and the current from the boat, but yeah, it's a really cool thing. So I mean, if you're ever thinking about checking out Churchill, end of August is kind of the height of beluga whale season. And we saw polar bear up while we were up there, not very far away on the rocks. And if you stay up late enough, you get northern lights. Like, it's kind of a special time at the end of August. And so going up for a few days is the way to do it. And now is the time to start looking to next year if you're interested in doing that.
No doubt. And of course, Travel Manitoba and travelmanitoba.com has all sorts of resources, information on trips to Churchill, timing of year, what you're going to see, and when you're going to want to go. Bringing it back to the city.
Yeah.
Of course, Folklorama is going on right now. I mean, one of the, a world-renowned festival here in the city. But there's some other really cool events. And I know we were just talking about how red hot the Goldeyes have been lately.
Yeah.
Even when we're on the road, there's going to be some hot action down because the Tacos and Tequila Festival is coming back. Some of the top hip hop names of sort of the last 20, 25 years, along with it's one of the more eclectic days on the calendar, I would say, in Winnipeg every year.
Yeah, Tacos and Tequila is coming up on August 22nd at Blue Cross Park. There's tacos, there's tequila, there's throwback music, and it's 18 plus. And we have so many cool festivals that happen over the summer, and this is just another one of those. Tequila is not my thing from a very early time in my life. I kind of stay away from it. But I know that there's a very large tequila community, connoisseurs in Winnipeg and in the world, and this is a great chance to check them all out.
Have you seen the lineup, like the musical lineup this year?
Yeah,
T.I., a huge T.I. guy, Fat Joe, one of my all-time favorites, Too Short. We won't be playing any Too Short songs on the show. That might have a bleep or two. Petey Pablo, Frankie J, Murphy Lee, and DJ Ashton Martin. But I mean, Too Short, Fat Joe, T.I., the amount of bangers from the early 2000s that those three guys are responsible for will be an incredible soundtrack to a pretty fun day at the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, and one of my favorite things, if this past Father's Day, when I was at the Goldeyes game, they did this thing at the end of the game where you could go out onto the field and play toss with your kid. So my son and I, we went out and we threw the ball around. If you've never been on the field at Blue Cross Park, it's probably one of the most magical, special views of downtown Winnipeg you can ever have, especially out from center field. I know Dan has brought me out a couple times. The first time I went out into the field, Dan Chase, he's like, "Don't look back until I tell you to." So we walk all the way out, and Dan's like, "Okay, turn around." And it's amazing. Like, the city skyline, the grass in front, and the field around you it's special. It's super
There's
cool.
no bad view because, of course, if you're the other way, you're seeing the beautiful Human Rights Museum on the way over this way with the forks. And listen, it is a jewel. I would suggest get out there anytime the fish are playing. But this is also, especially if you're into some of the, older the hip hop music and tequila tacos. I'm not sure they did have lucha libre wrestling the first couple events. I'm not sure that that's still a part of it. So you may have to go to the WAG for your wrestling.
There you go. Yeah, get your fix at the WAG.
Tacos and tequila. Listen, people love having a cold one at the ball games. We've had, we have so many great breweries. I mean, stuff that's happening out in your neck of the woods on South Osborne is really cool. But I'm not sure if this is new, but a Winnipeg Beer Fest as well.
Yeah, so Winnipeg Beer Fest is happening again on August 22nd at Le Patio 340 in St. Boniface. Manitoba breweries, local beer, food, and live music in an outdoor setting. Again, what could be better? And that's happening again at the end of the month on August 22nd. And then a little bit further outside the city, coming back to Morden, is the Morden Corn and Apple Festival. I don't know if you guys have ever been.
Iconic event.
Amazing. They got one of the biggest parades that you could ever go to in the province. They've got a midway with like rides and events. They got bands every year that play. I mean, the Watchmen played a couple years back. That was really cool. And then free corn and apple juice. Like, it's amazing. Like, and the corn, they boil it in this like 150-year-old corn boiling machine that husks them and boils them. I don't know if you're into melted butter. I am. It's really delicious, and they cover it in melted butter. It's pretty great.
The Manitoba corn we get from southern Manitoba
Peaches and cream
is
corn.
like a delicacy. I mean, right now we're just getting to the
It's
sweet
right in
spot
season.
of that calendar.
Yeah.
And of course, it is a huge part of the Morden Corn and Apple Festival. I've got friends that go down there every year for that. Have something to eat. You know, if you have kids, you can bring there. Lots of fun for the family stuff going on.
Lots of family-friendly events
and
down
even
there.
if you don't have kids, I mean, pretty fun social at night that everyone can be a part of. And again, come hungry, and I hope you like corn.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's just kind of like a little taste of sampling of some of the things going on around the city. Have you guys ever done a zip line?
I have done a zip line. I did one in Costa Rica last year.
Okay, so a place south of the city in where are we, in the Pembina Valley, is High Wire Adventures. They have a zip line out there. It's a 5 cable, and there's a 5 cable or 8 cable tours, and it's Manitoba's highest. They have Manitoba's highest and longest zip lines that go over the Pembina Valley there. It's pretty amazing. In addition to just the zip lining, they have like mini golf. They have a little hiking trail. You can camp there. And it's just a great little place to go for like a little off the beaten path adventure and an adrenaline rush. I mean, if you're into speed, it's safe, it's fun, it's exhilarating. It's not as much like I'd be afraid to go skydiving or bungee jumping. I do zip line. I've done one before. It's fast. You get that great rush of air by you.
But you know, can we just maybe plan? Could we get an extra month of summer so we can do all of these things right now? It's a pretty exhaustive list of everything going on over the next little while.
There's something for everyone. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to get it all in, but do your best, because there's, I know that it's an El Nino, La Nina. I don't know what the weather term is. Remis, do you know? No.
El Nino.
El Nino.
El Nina.
It's one of them. Anyways, we might have a little bit of a longer period of warm air, but don't take it for granted. There's a lot of things to do, and we're getting into cool nights, as I'm sure you've noticed.
Yeah, but it goes without saying. I mean, we went through all of this. I mean, you can go back and watch this a couple times, but another easy and simple way to do it is get over to travelmanitoba.com for info on all this stuff and so much more.
Or you can come right here to the Visitor Information Center at the Forks, talk to our friendly staff who are knowledgeable, friendly, and eager to impart knowledge to curious, hungry people that are interested in doing things in around the province.
Hey, one more thing before you go, folks. I would suggest that on all your social channels, you follow at Travel Manitoba, because Michael speaks from experience on many of these things, and often when he's going out, he's doing some wild, weird, and wacky stuff that turns into great content on their social channels. So hit with a follow as well. We'll look forward to doing this as well, and we're going to get ready for the Manitoba Open, one of the biggest, the biggest week in golf in the province every year, with their friends at Elmhurst next week.
Yeah, that's coming up next week. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Good stuff, Michael. All the best, and congratulations again on the championship. There's Michael Grajewski from Travel Manitoba. We are live here at Travel Manitoba's Visitor Information Center. Great, Remo. This has been so fun doing a few shows down here, because the buzz, especially around the summer at the Forks, is so cool. I mean, just here, there's been a ton of people that are obviously visiting Winnipeg and coming in here for information, but just going in to grab a bite in the comment beforehand. People busting out of work to get some great food, or just taking some time to chill out outside in by the river. This is a hell of a great place to be.
I love coming to the Forks. It's kind of been our go-to for our family, especially with kids. You don't have to worry about, sitting down. They can just run around. I order from whatever restaurant I want on my phone, so I don't have to wait in line, which is the best. And then when you're done, you can walk around, check out all the shops in the market, or walk by the river outside. You can just sit there. It's nice. I had a beer with Michael on the patio there a couple months ago. I was like, wow, you work at the Forks. You can just do this anytime.
How good is that?
This is incredible. And even doing the shows here, we're like, oh, what are we going to get for lunch? There's coffee. Again, there's some great windows here as well. So we're having a great time.
I didn't have time to check out the arcade, but that might be
the pinball
a little
here,
bit later on.
They got legit, like the new games. I want to try that Metallica pinball game.
Oh, no way.
I think they got Pokemon pinball, and that's next to the table tennis. We've done segments on the table tennis there as well. So there's no shortage. Like, I've been here at the Common, and you see everyone in a Gold Eyes jerseys getting ready to go to the Gold Eyes game
I've
too.
already seen some people that have their fish jerseys on right now that are spending the afternoon here before making the very short walk across the way for the 6:30 start tonight. Speaking of the Gold Eyes, just quickly, another win last night, going for the sweep this evening. And we didn't really mention this as much yesterday, but Landon Barassa back with the team, makes the start last night, back into the win column. And don't look now, but I'm pretty sure our Winnipeg Gold Eyes are knocking on the door of first place, which a month ago would have seemed inconceivable.
Yes, half game back of Kansas City. And I remember, like, before that, 13-game win streak, we're like, oh, the Gold Eyes, they've been so up and down. They can't put it together, win one, lose one. They were in the final a couple of years ago. They had, a setback year last year. But amazing what's happened this year. Did not think they'd be in this position, but, not too many home games left. I think it's just over 10. They're, home tonight, as you said, and half game back. So not only just making the playoffs, but good candidate to win the division here.
By the way, always, every time we have Michael on and we kind of step away from our normal stuff and kind of talk about getting out and doing these, you get so much great feedback on this. A lot of great ideas, a lot of back and forth from everyone in there, which did remind me, and I saw some scuttlebutt in the chat earlier this week. Spency was the last Bomber game hooked up with a bunch of the Lugans from the chat at halftime. And Spency was missing. And apparently he was in heavy training because he, of course, is one of the most decorated Ukrainian dancers around. Is he not back at it this week at the Pavilion?
I know there is a large contingent of WST listeners, viewers who are in our Discord chatting all the time. So, if you're having fun in the live chat, make sure to get in. You can get in on, these aren't even officially WST sanctioned events. They make their own plans, and they're going to see Spency 5:15 at the Spirit of Ukraine Pavilion. He is part of the amazing Ukrainian dancers. So, we've seen him years ago, but he's come out of retirement, Huss, and he's put on the costume. He's going out on stage, and a bunch of WSG. So you can do the Sea Bears game Saturday, and then check out Spency for the doubleheader.
I will say Spirit of Ukraine Pavilion is amazing. Of course, being the godfather and founder of the pierogi eating contest, we started that with the gang at Spirit of Ukraine. That was when I first met Spency. And listen, we give each other the business in the chat and on this program. It's incredible what those guys do. And the fact that they're not just doing it one show, but 4 times a night absolutely blows my mind. So I understand why he was in like a full-fledged training camp to get ready for this. And I think it was the Polish Pavilion who basically ripped our idea and started their own pierogi eating contest, which is fine. I wanted to bring it to the people. We did it. And certainly the Polish also have a major claim to pierogies. But what was incredible, and I don't know if I showed you this, do you remember the legendary Stepdaddy J?
Yes.
Who showed up for maybe the second pierogi eating contest of all time, ended up winning. Stepdaddy J returned this year to go in the one that was on, and I did see a picture of Stepdaddy J and Abi Khan together on the stage afterwards.
Yeah, wow.
Quite the meeting of the minds at Folklorama.
That's incredible. And yeah, he flew in from out of town, had some legendary pierogi eating performances, with beating out the original winner Abdul Karoma.
Abdul, what a stud he was.
George was in those too, and I see him on the leaderboard at some other local establishment.
George is still in the game.
So this,
George Lozado, I believe.
Lozarada.
Lozarada,
yes.
Jorge.
Yes. So the Winnipeg eating competition scene still thriving.
What we got to, you know what? I would love to do a special on the YouTube channel, just like an hour podcast going down memory lane for that first pierogi eating contest, because some of the characters that we put together for that one, what was the Shane, the Garburator Anderson?
Yes.
He had a big crew out. I mean, I just think back, honestly, one of the funniest and most ridiculous, but also enjoyable things I've ever been a part of was that pierogi eating contest. So, but man, stepdad Shane. I laughed so hard when I saw he was back in Winnipeg doing his thing. But yes, Spirit of Ukraine Pavilion. If you are going to Folklorama, make a point of putting that one in and see what see Spency and his gang doing his thing, kind of like the dinosaur doing his thing right behind us. Listen, before we go, we can't tell you, into the fifth inning, still tight, 1-0 Red Sox over the Blue Jays right now. Wow, we're back to this. We started at 5.5. As I was talking with John Hodge, 5.5 for Calgary was the original spread. It's down to 3.5 right now. Do you give BC any chance of winning this game tonight?
Yeah, of course.
do too.
Calgary's rush defense has not known to be that proficient. It's going to be a bit sloppy out there, and we just saw BC run all over Winnipeg. They got this two-headed monster now with Xander Holrath, James Butler, Nathan Rourke. He's got legs too. He's not afraid to run. And Calgary, we've seen, year after year, Vernon Adams comes out of the gate so hot. How could BC let him go? This guy's MOP candidate. He's such a great player. And then second half, the numbers fall off. Was that what we saw last week where, they won the turnover battle by a significant margin over Toronto and still couldn't win? I mean, that doesn't happen. So I think BC's in a really good spot. However, BC, they're on a bit of a shorter week. They played Saturday, and it was, the 6:00 game. How's it going to affect them for this one? Because we saw it was Calgary who was on the short week last week. Did that affect them in the Thursday? And, teams are going to say, it's not an excuse, the schedule, but I think it certainly plays a factor. And actually, it was Mike O'Shea who did say after the last Bombers game that the team was tired. So maybe coaches do play in the schedule. I think it does play a factor. I do like BC, but the numbers, I think it was like 6 at one point. Now it's 3.5. I think it was 5 earlier today.
It's 5.5, and I'm seeing 3.5 right now. By the way, a quick little update from the FedEx St. Jude. I was all fired up for Hideki Matsuyama yesterday. We've got him on a couple of our top 20s, picked him to win. And, I saw he made the turn and then bogeyed and was +2. Hideki birdied 12. And then how about this? Birdie on 14, birdie on 15, birdie on 16, birdie on 17, birdie on 18. Thank you very much. He's one off the lead right now at the FedEx St. Jude. Connor is back with us. Connor, what's your thoughts on this game tonight? BC, Calgary, big game in the West. Certainly, I mean, listen, Edmonton and BC are doing their thing 1-2 right now, but hard to imagine this isn't going to be a 3-horse race for the next number of weeks, and a game that Bomber fans will be paying attention to intently.
No doubt. And for weeks, we've been saying Calgary's better than the record. They're better than the record. If they lose tonight, BC leapfrogs them in the West, do they not?
5th place, 4-6.
So they'd be last. So at some point here, Calgary's got to win some of these close games because they're losing. They've lost 5 times this year, and every single game it seems like they're losing by a walk-off field goal or a couple points or a couple plays here and there. I absolutely give BC a chance in tonight's game, and if you guys are saying it's going to be a weather game, certainly they can run the ball. James Butler, Xander Horvath, Nathan Rourke back at the helm. They can do a lot of things offensively, so I think this is going to be a great game. I'm going to be locked in, and I've assumed Calgary all year long is just better than their record, and to see them last in the West if they lose tonight's game would be pretty shocking to me.
What would you rather be? Better than your record with a bad record, or not as good as your record and be 4-4, for instance?
Are you asking for a friend?
Asking for a friend, exactly.
I'd rather be 4-4 playing Ottawa at home on a Friday night.
Yeah.
That's where I'd rather be, I think.
You know, we were just talking about all the cool things to do in and around Manitoba with the Michael Grajewski, but how about this next 3 days?
Oh, man. As you guys were interviewing Mike Raimbault and Murat and Michal, of course, I bought tickets to the Gold Eyes game Saturday. So what I'm already going to the Sea Bears game, of course. So I'm going to go to the Sea Bears game, which is at 2:30, and then just walk down to Blue Cross Park for the 6 o'clock Bark in the Park Gold Eyes game. Saturday doubleheader, Winnipeg Sports. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Dude, that is a heck. That'll be a 6 o'clock start,
Yes.
right? And the fish will the Sea Bears will go kind of 2:30 to 4:30. Hopefully there's a good half hour, an hour of celebrating.
Yeah.
It won't be like leaving after a regular game if they get that one done.
No.
By the way, Remo, how are they well into the upper deck right now?
Yeah, I have the seat map here. Let me bring it up quickly.
As Remis is bringing that up, just a shout out. This Bomber game, like we've Bombers fans seemingly sell it every single game. Sold out the lower bowl for the Sea Bears game into the upper deck. Gold Eyes are on a heater. They're getting some better crowds recently. Like, it's a great time to be a Winnipeg sports fan.
Yeah, it is. But just like Bombers, we need you to pull your weight
the
tomorrow
Bombers,
and get this win.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So yeah, I mean,
it's pretty good.
On the sides, on the side of the court. I mean, those upper bowl seats are basically all the way up to the top, and then obviously they've opened up more sections over on the side. How much are those upper deck seats? 25?
These are 32. These ones are 29. These ones are, let's see, 29. There's a couple loge seats available for 79. These ones a couple of them got scooped up very quickly. You get to sit in nice comfy chairs with a table. So, I mean, it's going to be a great crowd on Saturday. They put on a great show. So I'm very excited here for Sea Bears and Brampton.
Let's see as we get back over to the Cool Bet lines. There's no more futures. It's just one game, folks. Sea Bears -200 to win. Brampton +148, and the Sea Bears -4.5 favorites in the championship game on Saturday. Over under for the game is 183.5 points. Back over to the CFL. As we mentioned, line has dropped to 3.5 tonight for Calgary over BC. BC on the money lines +175, and Calgary's -217. The Bombers are now 7-point favorites. It was 6.5 yesterday. Zach Collaros in, Broxton in. Brady Oliveira, a game time decision. We expect him to play. Edmonton, 3.5-point favorites over the Argos. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 7-point home dogs to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Should actually take a look at the exclusives. Do I have this on this side of it? I'm using a different setup today. So do you have them up there, Reem?
Sometimes if you hit refresh, if they don't show up, they do. I don't see any exclusives. I just see.
I got them right here. Cool bet. The daily exclusives. What have we got here? Dedrick Mills, 70 rushing yards, a touchdown, and a Calgary wins +255. You got Keon Hatcher to have a big game. Keon, 80 yards, a touchdown, and BC +3.5 +425. I actually don't mind that one. BC and Calgary both 35 plus or more +425. I don't know. I'm buying into this weather narrative. I'm taking the under 64 in the game tonight. And I think I will still, even at 3.5, although I got them at 5, I will take BC. I think this is going to be a real close game. I wouldn't be surprised if BC goes in and wins this game. I mean, the one thing that Calgary has shown is they've got a knack for playing a lot of close games and losing a bunch of games where they probably should win.
Yeah, and their record reflects that, right? Like, we can keep saying that they're better than the record, but that is why they keep losing. They can't close these games out. And I joked a few weeks ago on the program, and I'll say it again, I think they're the Toronto of the West. Like, their offense is awesome. VA, I guess last week, he was more up and down than he has been in the first couple of weeks, but he started the year on fire. Tons of touchdowns, no interceptions, playing clean football, and their defense was just giving up a ton of points, a ton of rushing yards, a ton of passing yards. You could really do whatever you wanted against that Calgary defense, and it cost them late in games where you need that one stop to not let the other team have a walk-off field goal. They couldn't get that one stop. So they've been the Toronto of the West so far. Their offense is clicking along. Toronto in the East, Chad Kelly's clicking that offense along, but both teams' defenses haven't really, certified themselves so far early in the season, and that's why their records are kind of middling so far through the year.
All right, good stuff. By the way, I just checked out Gold Eyes tonight over at CoolBet. You can hit that under Canadian baseball. Gold Eyes are minus 149 over the Sioux Falls Canaries. Congratulations again to Rotate, who was our winner last night. Rotate is on his way to the CoolBet Open in Estonia, representing Canada. Along with the crew, going to be an amazing time. Played super well. And thanks to everyone that participated. We will look forward to more tourneys when we start a new schedule with some regular games coming up in the fall once we get through Winnipeg Jets training camp. What a fun day today. It's always good to get the boys together in person. Great hospitality from Michael and Connor. Can't get much better than an afternoon on a nice summer day at the Forks.
Oh, yeah. And we went to eat lunch. You walk in over there, the food court, and I was overwhelmed with the options for lunch.
What did you end up getting?
Danny's all-day breakfast. Got a breakfast sandwich.
All-day breakfast?
All-day
wow,
breakfast. I'm a big breakfast guy, and if there's an all-day breakfast place, I will be having it at all times of the day. That's kind of my thing. So went for Danny's all-day breakfast. It's a beautiful day. Lots of people walking around here, and yeah, some people with Gold Eyes jerseys heading down to the game later tonight as well.
What did you go for, Reem?
I got crafted crust? I got a sandwich.
Yeah.
So it was
What kind?
Some kind of Montreal smoked meat sub. It was pretty good. It
nice.
had really good dressing, pickle, tomato, lettuce. I ate it pretty quickly. It was good.
I had a Philly cheesesteak from Simon Steaks. I'd seen it a couple times on the delivery apps. Did not know where it was, and then I saw it, and I mean, listen, if you put a Philly cheesesteak on the menu, I'll try it. And it was excellent.
Good omen for Simon Hildebrandt heading into Saturday's game.
Hopefully he can be grilling up the Honey Badgers tomorrow, like he did against Mitch Creek in the Vancouver Bandits last week. That's going to do it for us. Thanks again to Michael and our friends at Travel Manitoba for the hospitality today. Been a real fun show. How about Mike Raimbault coming in person? That was phenomenal. Thank you to Mike. Good luck to the Sea Bears on Saturday. We'll have more on the championship game tomorrow on the program. Appreciate Murat jumping on the show today, John Hodge for joining us in person, and everyone that came down and said hi while we've been here. I see our guy Jaden, Big WS Tears, just popped in at the end of the show to say hi. That is going to do it for us. Thanks to all of our sponsors, everyone for making us a part of your day. We will see you all tomorrow. Game day edition before Bombers Red Blacks, 1 p.m. right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Have a great night and go fish tonight at the ballpark.
Oh my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.